Good morning. It's 10 o'clock, and I'm going to ask everybody to please take their seats so we can begin the meeting. Thank you. I hate using the gavel. Anyways, it's 10 o'clock, April 2nd, 2026. So at this time, I call to order the Board of County Commissioners meeting for that date. Is Commissioner Rice online, or are we?
Yes, he is.
Okay, there he is. Okay, so we have all 5 commissioners in today's meeting. And so at this time, I will call on Sheriff Dan Coverly for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. As I look at the agenda today, it does not appear to be long does not appear to be long. So in that regard, I don't anticipate that we will take a recess for lunch. We'll just work right through it if that's good with the rest of the board. Okay. So at this time, we provide an opportunity for the public to comment on items that they wish to comment on that are within our jurisdiction. All the guidelines are printed on the agenda, so I won't bother to read those, other than to say that the public comment is limited to 3 minutes, and we use timing lights to ensure that everyone has an opportunity to speak. So Commissioner Tolbert runs that timing machine, and so we ask you to approach the podium, sign or print your name on the paper there, and once you state your name, we'll begin the timer, and you have 3 minutes. At the end of 2.5 minutes, you'll see a beep and a yellow light, and at 3 minutes, you'll see a red light and a beep, and we ask you to please sit down at that time. In addition to public comment, opening public comment and closing public comment, we take public comment on administrative agenda items that are identified for possible action, and once again, closing public comment. So if you plan to speak on a specific item that's on the administrative agenda and identified for possible action, we only have a few today, but we ask you to hold your public comment until that item comes before us, except that if you have to return to work, then we will allow that public comment during the open public comment section, understanding that when that item comes back before us later on, you will have exhausted your 3 minutes. We do not take public comment on liquor board agenda items, so if you wish to provide comments on liquor board agenda items, which we have one of today, please provide your comments at the opening public comment section, which is right now. So we ask you to keep your public comments to matters that are within the jurisdiction and control of the Board of County Commissioners. Public comment must be addressed to the chairperson and not to members of the public, so that the board may take future action on issues that are raised by the public. So at this time, I'd ask you to please come forward and offer your public comment.
Good morning, Ellie Waller. I had a very long 3 minutes planned, but I've shortened it. We need a fair and balanced budget, and it's a tough task. Unfunded mandates get in the way, but are essential and must be addressed. The 4-day budget review finally resulted in recognizing the unpopular decision to cut certain contributions to other entities that have been expected for a long time. I want to thank staff, county manager, and all that participated in the arduous task accomplished. Now the time gets down to brass tacks, and not everyone's going to get funded as requested. That brings us to today's agenda and future agendas for the upcoming fiscal year. Every future agenda needs to take in consideration budget constraints that are a reality in reconciling what is most essential. The public health and safety of citizens, keeping the rural and historical legacies purported in many plans intact, and understanding this is a tougher task than the populace understands. We've outgrown our ability to fund our legacies. Now's the time to change the road we're on. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Dorothy Dean. I live on Buchanan Road, right off of Kingsbury. I want to talk about the public lands bill, the Douglas County Public Lands Bill that is being promoted by the commissioners here. It is unclear to me why, of all the U.S. Forest Service land in Douglas County that is in the Tahoe Basin, one single tract that centers on my house is going to be conveyed to Douglas County. I've been in, it's one that says it's for recreation, parking, but what concerns me is Section 103 of the bill, which says that the designation can be changed by the Douglas County Commissioners after they receive it. With public input, I've been reassured by some county employees. The problem there is that my faith in the trustworthiness of the County Commissioners Board has been shaken by the emails between Barton executives and Douglas County employees showing some sort of collusion or something about trying to exclude the public from participating in talks like that. So I guess my basic question is, why that one tract, and how was it chosen, and by who? And for what purpose, ultimately? Land in Lake Tahoe is highly desirable. To have only one bit of acreage available is concerning. And so as the bill is written now, where the designation of recreation can be changed by the county, I cannot support this bill, and I'll do everything in my power to work against it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, Jim Jackson. I'm going to do something this morning I don't normally do. I've sat through all 4 days of the budget meeting. Very complicated, very confusing. Some items I agreed with, some I didn't agree with. I've expressed my concerns on some of those things to you. But at the very end of it, I had to make to myself a comment that said that the county manager, Jennifer Davidson, had done a wonderful job on corralling all of the different department heads to get them to cut their budgets as much as possible. Needs to be done some more. But just organizing and keeping that large group of people and the large amount of expenditures under some kind of control is not an easy thing to do. I know. I dealt with the entertainment industry for almost 40 years. Very large budgets, no control whatsoever. So I wanted to compliment our county manager on a job well done, continuing to be done, got more to do. And as Ellie was saying, on all future projects, keep in mind, we're running short on money, and it has to be taken into consideration for everything. Donations that we have given to different organizations, no matter how small, do add up. And if by not giving those donations, we can save some other project that is a more worthy project, that's most important. As far as the commissioners, your patience is sitting through all those meetings. I don't know how you do it and stuff. I wouldn't want to do it very often. And I'm interested today in a couple of topics that are going to come up, so I'll speak again on those. But I wanted to say thank you for the work you've done so far and continue to do it. And if I had known you when I was running my company in Southern California and I could have hired you, I would have. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
Jim Slade. In closing public comment at your March 19th meeting, I discussed the request for special use permit for a special occasion home at 445 Foothill, pointing out how different it was in so many ways from a similar request at Gansburg Ranch on Waterloo that was approved some years ago. It is never surprising that an applicant always finds a way to claim that their request meets all the required findings, regardless of the credibility of those claims. It is disappointing, however, when staff parrots those same claims, regardless of whether they are credible or reasonable. To qualify for a special occasion home, the property must be owner occupied to even apply for a special use permit. The applicant somehow tried to claim that they met that requirement, even though the current owners do not live at that place. Somehow staff didn't question that. Staff also sided with the applicant on finding B, the proposed use is compatible with and preserves the character and integrity of the adjacent neighborhood, without explaining how that was the case. Yet no one in the 35 homes in the noticing radius supported this project, and most of them signed a petition, sent in written comments, showed up at the meeting, and spoke in public comment, all in opposition. They expressed deep concerns about the adverse effects of the potential 12 to 14 hours of amplified music, potentially on every weekend from April to October, about their concerns regarding traffic and safety, and about how their quality of life and their right to the quiet enjoyment of their property would be compromised solely for the profit motive of one family. In many ways, it would be worse than a VHR. Staff also agreed with the applicant on finding C. The proposed use will not generate traffic that will be hazardous or conflict with the existing traffic in the neighborhood. The applicant submitted a traffic study. However, one planning commissioner stated that she had issues with the veracity of the application and found the traffic study deeply flawed. Another stated that he did not trust claims of the study. That study suggested that nearly half of the attendees for a wedding would arrive more than an hour before the start time, which is not credible. All so that the estimated peak hour traffic would be just below the trigger for a full traffic impact study. The study also claimed that there was less traffic in that area on weekends, but the NDOT data in the packet showed exactly the opposite. There was no mention whatsoever of the popular Fay Luther trailhead right across the street, which was falsely shown on his map as a private residential driveway, nor of the many bicycles, equestrians, and hikers in the area, which has a speed limit of 55 and no paved shoulders, nor the many deer that cross the road regularly in that area. Staff ignored every one of those omissions and falsehoods. Sadly, this is another example of community development blindly siding with the applicant/developer and ignoring the valid concerns of neighbors. The public deserves better. Having said that, the applicant, for whatever reason, have withdrawn their request after hearing that the Planning Commissioner's 4-3 decision was appealed to the board.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Slade. Thank you. Is there any additional public comment here in chambers?
Well, this is perhaps a minor item as considered with all of the other comments so
Excuse
far.
me,
I'm out in the old ranchos, Steve Turley.
Okay, thank you.
Steve Turley, I'm out in the old ranchos, the half acres. And I've been out there about, 50 years or so. And up until recently, we didn't have a problem with wildlife, and the wildlife being the deer. If some of you recall back a ways, about 50 years, they actually posted pictures of people's property in order to shame them into maintaining their property. And we make an attempt to maintain our property out there, but with the deer coming in, we're out there working on whatever we're doing, trimming trees. A number of times, myself and others have been charged by the larger deer. And at one time, there was a pet that was killed here on or about the middle part of February. And in the area just east of Aspirin, I think it's Lyle Street, there had actually been a an individual in a car run into a deer out there. Exactly what the circumstances were, I haven't any idea. These deer are not the Bambi types. They will charge you. They will eat up all of your landscaping. And I'm not necessarily concerned about that. What I'm concerned about is eventually somebody out in the ranch is going to get killed. And my recommendation, my request from you would be a letter to Nevada Department of Wildlife to remove these animals, put them out into an area such as Winnemucca or Elko, out of the area, please. Any help would be appreciated, and thank you.
Thank you. Additional public comment? Okay, I see no additional public comment. I did want to address, Ms. Dean, was it your request? As I understand it, there will be a public workshop that the county will bring to talk about the lands bill and all of the aspects of that. I do know personally that I think that bill has been started like 14 years ago, 12 years ago, something of that nature. So it's been a process, and but we'll get the original architects in a room for you also. So, okay? Yep. Okay, thank you. Yep, we're going to address that, so appreciate it. With that, I will close public comment. Go ahead.
And then, is it Mr. Curley or Furley? But Turley, I missed it completely. I just want to let you know I had been advised of those issues in the ranchos, and I have been working on that. I've talked to Carson City, who also has issues with the deer inside residential areas. And you're right, the next step is to reach out to NDOW, and then hopefully we'll get some information back to Indian Hills that can maybe go out through their billing or something like that. Still working on it, but want to let you know, was aware and have been trying to find out what we can do. So.
Thank you. Any additional comments, commissioners? Okay, very good. Then I'll close public comment and come back to the agenda. And at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the proposed agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Hale, seconded by Commissioner Tolbert to approve the proposed agenda as presented. Sensing no objections, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, motion passes 5-0. Well, we're actually, one of our commissioners is absent right now. So it's 4-0, 4 and 1 absent, right?
Yes. Do you
Is
mind
that the-
noting for the record who's present for this vote?
Oh, okay. Okay. Never mind. We may, okay, I'll call the vote again. Would that help?
Sure.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the agenda as proposed signify by saying aye.
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 Now the motion is 5-0. Okay, thank you. I'm always questioning whether it's 4 and 1 absent, 4 and 0, you know, but anyways, we appreciate your coming back so we could, that made my job a little bit easier. Okay. Just by that much. Yeah. Okay, we'll go into item 5, possible action, discussion to approve the draft minutes of March 5th, 2026 regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. I'll entertain a motion to do so.
I'll move that we adopt this draft minutes.
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Tolbert, seconded by Tarkanian to approve the draft minutes of March 5th, 2026 as submitted. Sensing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Did I hear another aye up there? Commissioner Wright?
Did.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay.
Aye, 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 aye.
Okay, okay. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. We'll now recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as the Douglas County Liquor Board. I will note that Sheriff Dan Coverly joins us on this board, made up of the 5 commissioners and his presence also. And I'll read that item into the agenda or into the record. For possible action, discussion to adopt ordinance 2026-1664, an ordinance amending Douglas County Code Title 5, Business Licenses and Regulations, Chapter 5.08, Intoxicating Liquor Sale Licenses, Section 5.08.80, License Restrictions, to add the requirement that certain employees of licensees complete alcohol seller, server, and dispenser training within 30 days of employment, and that licensees establish a continuing program of training for employees related to compliance with applicable laws related to the sale, service, and dispensing of alcohol, to include the prohibition on the sale of alcohol to persons under the age of 21 years. This is the second reading, and this is being presented by Sheriff Dan Coverly and Deputy District Attorney Zach Wadley. Mr. Wadley.
Good morning. Zach Wadley, Deputy District Attorney. This ordinance was initially introduced about a month ago, and then at your last regular meeting, we provided a business impact statement for the ordinance that you accepted. We're here for adoption today. The title of the ordinance is largely self-explanatory. I wanted to clarify a couple things since the introduction of the ordinance. We did clarify that the training would apply to sellers, servers, and dispensers of alcohol. And then we also clarified that the ongoing training would be an annual requirement, so a once per year requirement going forward. With that, I'm happy to take any questions, or I'll defer to Sheriff Coverly if he wants to add anything more.
Sheriff Coverly, anything to add?
No, just that we think this is important, and the goal of this is to prevent the sale of alcohol to underage individuals, to prevent that issue, and then to provide training if there are any questions. I mean, it is obvious you can't sell alcohol to somebody that's under 21. Training's over. So, but there's some things that we can do to help, and we're willing to help any of the businesses in the valley or in the county to do this. And I know that they their goal is the same as ours as far as the sale of alcohol to people that shouldn't have it.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions? Go ahead, Commissioner.
I did have a constituent ask a couple of questions. One was, does the training include, does the requirement for training include temporary liquor licenses? And the other one was, does the training include guidance on not over-serving? And I did ask those questions, and the answer was yes on both, but feel free to elaborate.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Zach Wadley, Deputy District Attorney. So the answer to the first question as to whether or not a temporary liquor licensee would be subject to this requirement, the answer is yes. There's no exemption for a temporary liquor licensee under our code. There are various situations where a temporary liquor license can be obtained. So servers or dispensers or sellers under that scenario would need the training as well. And then as far as the over-serving as part of the training, yes, that is part of the training, particularly offered by Partnership Douglas County, who will facilitate much of this for free for licensees.
I appreciate that. I like to emphasize that this training is provided, as you said, by a local entity, Partnership Douglas County, and it's provided for free. So this shouldn't be an onerous burden.
Sure, yes, please.
And I just wanted to follow up on the temporary liquor license, is that once they have the training, it can be used multiple times over the year that it's valid, right? Once they've taken the training. Just want to make sure that, because that was another question. If I do a temporary, do I have to do it again every time I apply for a new temporary?
Commissioner Tolbert, Zach Wadley, Deputy District Attorney, yes, that's correct. So if a training is done and multiple temporary liquor licenses are pulled over the course of a year, that training is good for the year.
Commissioner Rice, any questions on this item?
No, sir. I think it covers it quite well.
Very good. Commissioner
Chairman.
Turkanian, any? I have no questions. Okay, then at this time, then I'll
Chairman
entertain-
Gardner, can I make one more comment?
Yes, please.
So the training is it is very simple. The partnership can provide the training, and when we say training, it is basically how to identify someone who is underage, okay? And it's mostly done through ID, okay? So we remember, probably a lot of us in this room back when we were kids had IDs that were false. And so, thank you. So the ability for the clerk or the person selling the alcohol to check the ID and verify that it is valid, and and then do the math to determine whether they're under 21. That's what the partnership will help. And they'll also provide marketing or, signs that you can put up in your business to, dissuade people from trying to purchase alcohol that shouldn't be, because they're going to get their ID checked and so on and so forth. But the training doesn't have to be super complicated. It can be a discussion, okay? And the intent when we looked into this was to not make it super difficult for any business, okay? But you have to have a conversation with the people that are providing the alcohol, that you can't provide it to someone who's not 21. And these are some things that you can do to ensure that. Does that make sense? So when the sheriff's office throughout the years does compliance checks, which we do, and you fail the compliance check, then the argument cannot be, well, I didn't know that I couldn't ask, or I didn't know that I had to check. Does that make sense? So that is the other goal here. But the training, I don't want to get hung up on that the training is super complicated, because it isn't. And if you want additional information and more of a structured training process, then the partnership can help you. But if you, on these temporary ones, if you just have a discussion, then that can suffice for that also. Zach, do you have anything to?
So as more and more of our businesses go to self-checkout, Walmart or grocery stores that sell alcohol, when they go up to that self-checkout stand, it's been my experience that when you scan that into the self-checkout, it stops everything. It stops that transaction until somebody physically comes over and checks your ID, even for a person such as me, who's obviously not under 21. So anyways, there is stopgaps in the system to ensure that you just can't walk through a grocery store or Walmart and scan it and pay for it and get out. So, yep. Right? So, okay. If there's no other questions, entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 2026-1664 as presented.
So moved.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Tarkanian, seconded by Commissioner Hales to adopt ordinance 2026-1664 as presented. We've had discussion, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
6-0. Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Wadley and Mr. Coverly. So with that being the only item on the Liquor Board agenda, I will now adjourn as the Douglas County Liquor Board and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners. First thing on the item is consent calendar, and I will entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar items A through I.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Rice, seconded by Commissioner Tarkanian to approve the consent calendar as presented, items A through I. Since no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. We will now go into the administrative agenda. And the first thing we have is a presentation, a ceremonial presentation of Proclamation 2026P-012, proclaiming the month of April 2026 as National Autism Awareness Month in Douglas County. We have with us today to receive that proclamation Melissa Algus, who is the Autism Awareness Advocate and a community member, and a previous public information officer for Douglas County. So I'll go ahead and let our county manager read this and present this, and then we'll have a photo op with all of us, okay?
Awesome. Thank you,
Please.
Mr. Chairman. It's my honor to read this proclamation. Proclamation 2026 P-012. declaring April 2026 as National Autism Awareness Month in Douglas County, Nevada. Whereas autism is one of the fastest growing developmental disabilities in the world, affecting 1 in 31 according to estimates from the CDC's Autism and Developmental Disabilities Monitoring ADDM network. This includes people in the Douglas County community. And whereas autism results from a neurological disorder that impacts the functioning of the brain, conditions characterized by autism may challenge communication, social skills, and behavior. Accurate early diagnosis and the resulting appropriate education and intervention are crucial for ensuring the highest quality of life for individuals with autism. And whereas during the month of April, we strive to promote awareness of autism, inclusion, and self-determination for all, and assure that each person with ASD is provided an opportunity to achieve the highest possible quality of life. And whereas support groups such as the Family Support Council, Action Club, Moxie Up, and Expandable Horizons provide vital support and advocacy for families, children, and adults diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder in the Carson Valley. And whereas the Autism Resource Fair has been organized by Family Support Council volunteers and will include ways for those on the spectrum to receive information about support services in Douglas County. The fair will take place this year on April 11th, 2026 from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the CVIC Hall. And whereas the Douglas County Sheriff's Office has established the Autism Recognition Program to assist family members and caregivers in registering individuals with autism with the Sheriff's Department. This proactive initiative aims to reduce anxiety for those with autism and help during everyday police encounters and critical incidents. The program also enhances police officer awareness and response to individuals with autism, assisting officers with early recognition and parent-guardian reunification and overall safety. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Douglas County Board of County Commissioners, along with Douglas County staff and residents, that April 2026 is National Autism Awareness Month in Douglas County, Nevada, signed by our chairman, Mark Gardner. And with that, I'm going to turn the mic over to Melissa.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for, I'm going to speak for just a minute and then allow anyone else who wants to come up here. Thanks so much for giving us the opportunity to be here today and help raise awareness about the services available in Douglas County for individuals on the autism spectrum. I've been doing this for, I counted 10 years now, and so just a little reflection on that. I'm just incredibly encouraged because we've made so much progress here in our community. While Nevada continues to rank dead last, here we have, we've ranked dead last in behavioral health. Douglas County continues to show up, step up, and lead with heart. So a decade ago, many of the supports that we have today simply did not exist. Programs like the Sheriff's Autism Alert Program, the Action Club, Moxie Up, Expandable Horizons, and Family Support Council has expanded their services. So today, these resources are making a real difference in the lives of individuals and families, and for that, I am deeply grateful. So I want to just plant a little seed today too, no pressure. But as we continue building stronger support systems here in Douglas County, I hope that we can begin to explore public-private nonprofit partnerships to develop transitional or supportive housing for adults on the spectrum and those with disabilities. Creating opportunities for independent and community integration is critical, and as a parent, it's something that keeps me awake at night. So my hope is that by putting this out into the universe and in the room today, it will grow into something meaningful for the future for our community. And with that, I allow anybody else when it comes up and talk about any awareness events that they have going on in the community. Thank you.
Hi, Dan Upton with Family Support Council. I just want to thank everybody for their support since, we're 10 years running the program now. And another reminder, Saturday the 11th from 10 to 2 at the CVIC Hall. If by chance you have a service or want to advertise a service that benefits our community with individuals with special needs, go ahead and reach out to me at the Family Support Council and register. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Gary Dove for the record. I am a member of the Kiwanis Club of Carson Valley, but more importantly, I am the Charter Advisor for the Action Club of Carson Valley, and I gave each of you a walk on support of Sheriff Coverly and Under Sheriff Elges We are doing our second annual awareness walk, fun walk. We're putting it back into the 395 corridor this year. It's June 8th. I gave each of you a flyer and I gave the clerk a flyer. But I hope that you can come out with a team. We had a lot of fun for the first annual one last year, but I just publicly want to thank Douglas County Sheriff. They've been very supportive of our cause, and that's making awareness of our community along with all aspects of developmental disabilities. It's important to know that our club is in their 10th year already, hard to believe, and they are a regular service club, and we treat them with respect. They don't have a disability, and we teach them to be leaders. So on top of that, but also more importantly, at some point this year, we'll be opening up the ADA Park, which is going to be at Stoddard Park. That was something that developed since 2019 with a letter to the editor. We brought it to the Park and Recreation Advisory Board, and that's going to happen this year, which I'm very proud that we're going to have additional services for our community for all aspects, all ages. So with that, thank you for the recognition.
I'm Suzanne Taus with Expandable Horizons. We're just a couple of years old, and we provide activities for adults with developmental disabilities. Our age ranges are right now from 18 to 79. We have 40 registered participants. They don't all show up at the same time, thank goodness, because we wouldn't have space for them. But they do show up at the activities that interest them. We have dance classes, art classes. We have skills classes. You know, how do you fold your clothes? What do you do to keep yourself safe when you answer the phone and it's somebody you don't know? Things like that really need to be reinforced. And I would like to tell you that we wouldn't be able to do anything if it were not for community services in this county. They had just been remarkably good to us with housing and support and helped us get DART service to people. It's really been wonderful. And the cooperation amongst everybody here has been really good too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Colleen Lawrence. I'm with Moxie Up. We've been here since 2018. The one thing I do want to say is kind of what you're hearing here is the one thing that's really fun with our ASD family is that we are a family, and so there's no gatekeeping when it comes to ASD services. We actually share across everybody in every program. The other piece is I want to make sure that we are giving a shout out to our partners over at East Fork Fire Department. They, are our first response on a lot of our calls, and they are highly trained along with our Sheriff's Department. So I work in a lot of different counties, and one thing I will say about Douglas County is the level of training that goes into serving our ASD community is top notch. And I'm putting it out into the universe along with Melissa that we do need that other level up for our youth that are transitioning. We call them our transitioning youth. That's where we really do. And so having the Expandable Horizons, but having that placement up there, that's the one piece of one really severe gap that we do have in our community. The other piece of it is for our business partners. Our business partners and our community, the love that they share for our youth is phenomenal. And so we just want to keep that going to help, but that blended force that we really need to share within Douglas County. So we say thank you, and thank you to that One Nevada grant that's really kicked off this year for us too.
And before you leave the microphone, I believe Moxie Up has moved locations, right? So you want to tell us about your new location?
Yes, sir, we did. Colleen Lawrence again for the record. So we moved our location over into the Ranchos, Yay Ranchos. So we are now on Tillman, and we are trying to really lift up our community over in the Ranchos community and provide us further supports in walking distance on Tillman.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay, thank you. We'll now go to item 12.1. And this is being presented by Ms. Kate Morolis O'Neill. I'm getting better, aren't I? Principal planner. And this is for presentation only. This is an introduction of ordinance 2026-1665, amending Douglas County Code Title 18, Appendix B, the Minden town boundary by annexing approximately 5.10 acres into the town of Minden boundary. The parcel to be annexed is APN 1320-32-101-010, and this is the first reading. So this will eventually come back to us in about a month, right? So,
Yes, thank you.
Ms. Morales O'Neill.
Yes, thank you for the record. Kate Morales O'Neill, Planning Manager. Yes, so pursuant to NRS 244.100, the proposed ordinance is only required to be read by title to the Board of County Commissioners, which you have already accomplished, Chairman Gardner, so thank you. But good morning to everyone into attendance today. I'm happy to answer any questions if you do have any for me. Otherwise, the item will be back on April 16th for the second reading and presentation.
Very good, thank you. I'll go to Commissioner Rice. Do you have any questions for Ms. Morales O'Neill?
I do not. Thank you very much.
Okay. No? 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 Okay. No questions. Thank you. We'll see you in another month or so. Okay, that completes that item. And so now we'll go for item 12.2 for possible action. Discussion to hear or continue Verizon Wireless appeal of the Planning Commission's decision to deny development application DP 24-0169, a design review to install a new 80-foot monopole cell tower and associated network equipment at 1699 County Road within the town of Minden, APN 1320-30-802-004. The appellant is Verizon Wireless. Alan Barr is representing them today, I believe. And the appellant's representative is Epic Wireless, Melissa Ofina, I think. The appeal was a signed community development application number DP 24-0204. The appellants are requesting a continuance to continue Verizon's efforts to identify alternate locations. In the alternative, a hearing on Verizon's appeal will occur. This is being presented by Ms. Linda Doherty, our assistant planner. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hello, everyone here today. As you mentioned, we are here today to ask for continuance. There is a particular parcel that Verizon is interested in, as opposed to the one that's being appealed at 1699 County Road at the fire station. We have received a design review submittal for this new location. And so they're asking for a continuance because of the timing to give us time to process the new design review, which will come before you all in the coming months. And if that design review is approved, then they will withdraw this appeal. So it's just to give them some more time to pursue this location. And the appellant's representative, Melissa Ofina of Epic Wireless, is out of town, and we do have Mr. Andrew Joseph of Epic Wireless here today if you have any questions for him.
Commissioner, questions? Commissioner Rice?
No, this has been kicked down the road and kicked down the road. And with the opposition, every time they come up with a location, it gets kicked again. So I don't think it's unreasonable for them to ask for an extension. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Tolbert, you look like you were.
I do have a quick question. Just, I guess I'm asking for your opinion in this. Do you feel that Verizon has been working in due diligence trying to make this happen, and this isn't just another, stalling tactic, that they have actually been working on getting this done, and it really truly is just a matter of getting everybody to get their responses back to them, and it's just taking a while?
I do. Linda Doherty for the record. They have been looking at other parcels. One they were pretty interested in was atop of the former Ironwood movie theater. They were looking at possibly doing a rooftop installation, but it's not been determined if that building can structurally handle not only a tower, but some kind of stealth structure around it to make it pretty. And so they really have been pursuing other parcels, and they do have one that they're very interested in now, which you'll see in the design review, so I don't want to get too deep into it, but it is abutting Highway 88 and the Carson River, and it is about 918 feet south of the intersection of Highway 88 and County Road. And obviously, it's by the river, so it's on the west side. But no, I do believe they have been making efforts. So, yeah.
Else?
Is it within this agenda item to make comments on that alternate proposed? It is not. Okay. Otherwise, I would make a strong comment about the alternate proposed. But I do support a continuance, and my opinion regarding the appropriateness of the initial location has not changed from it being not okay.
Okay, so what we're doing today, as I understand it, and maybe legal counsel can help me out on this. So what we're doing is entertaining the idea of continuing this for another year or denying that continuance. Okay, so we're not debating the alternate locations that they may be proposing. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Linda Doherty for the record.
Go ahead,
I'm
Mr.
just going to refresh the board and the public. If we're not going to accept the proposal that they had, and they were going to sue us, and there's certain federal laws that give them some type of cause of action, whether they're successful or not, we're not sure. Or they try to find an alternative location. So they're looking for an alternative location. This is the biggest no-brainer of anything we've ever gone through. If we say no, then we're in a lawsuit, but we don't need to when they're doing exactly what we asked them to do.
Okay, and I have no questions. So anyways, this is for possible action. So we'll go to the public for public comment. Once again, I'll ask you to sign your name, write your name so it's legible, and then state your name, and your 3 minutes will start when you begin speaking. So if you're here for this item, we'd like you to please line up. Maybe we can get Ms. Evanson to pass the board down so we can try to expedite this process. But I just want to remind you have 3 minutes each. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. Do you mind if I clarify for the public what is relevant to public comment, just very clearly?
Yes, yes. Go ahead, please.
Okay. For members of the public who wish to comment today, what you are commenting on under this agenda item is whether or not this item should be continued to allow for more time for alternate locations to be pursued, or whether or not the county should hear the full appeal today. We are not discussing alternate locations today. And so please keep your comments relative to whether or not it should be continued or if the appeal should be decided today. Thank you.
Jim Jackson. and I remember it this time. I don't really have a dog in this fight, but I hope that you will listen closely to all those individuals that do. So many times we get up here and speak and we don't feel like you're really listening to us. On this particular one, there's a lot of ideas about it, and I hope you listen very carefully to them and to the public that it affects directly. Thank you.
Can I interrupt here? I think I needed to make a disclosure. Do I need to make a disclosure? I do not need to make a disclosure. No, I do not. Okay.
Well, I mean, once again, we're discussing the continuance or not.
The continuance,
and so we're not
right.
discussing locations, so.
Since we're not discussing locations, I guess I don't need to make a disclosure.
Hi, my name is Rhiannon Camper, and I just wanted to say that I am in support of you approving Verizon's continuation to find an alternate location for the towers. Thank you.
And as we've heard, it doesn't, the fact that you have 3 minutes doesn't mean you have to take the 3 minutes, so.
You don't, Mark will, so.
Good morning, Bill Cerrito. It's good to see you all. It's been a little while. I can't agree more with Danny. For as far as on behalf of Minden for Safe Tech, we are all in agreement to allow Verizon the additional time they need to find an appropriate location. And in support of your decision today, I just wanted to remind you that Station 14, which was proposed initially, was a very bad location. And Minden Town Board voted no on that. The Planning Commission voted no on that. And when we all met here last year, you were all against that. And you decided, like what Mr. Gardner said, kick the can down the road and leave that open for another discussion. Allowing Verizon a third bite at the apple is normally not allowed under county law, but for a good reason, you can't allow that. So we believe that's a good reason, finding an appropriate location, and we support that fully. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Maria Hartman, and I am the owner of Alien, Alien Fence Daycare. This business is located right next to Station 14, where Verizon was looking to build the tower previously. I just want to say that I'm extremely thankful that they're looking for another location. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much.
Good morning. You guys all know me, so I am in support of the new location and not being next to a daycare where children are. And being a Minden resident for 45 years, I've seen this town change immensely. Some good, some bad. And we support the small business owners, not the big corporations that are coming in. So I think you just gotta take a look at all of that, and I know you have, and I commend you on the work that you've done for us residents. We don't want to have to sell our homes. Station 16, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about that. That's already a go, unfortunately. But thank you for listening to us. We appreciate it. And we still are fighting some kind of hope resolution for us to live in our small little community. We support a lot of businesses, law enforcement. We've stood up against the tides. And we just commend you for listening to us and all the information you've gotten. I would say you're experts now, most of you, that have read all the information that we have passed down. Many hours, lots of money, we're still here. Thank you.
We need
And
you to
God
still
bless.
state your name if you wouldn't mind.
Pardon me?
We know who you are. We still need to state your name for the record,
Oh,
please.
Patrina French. Thank you.
Thank you.
Casey Rogers for the record. The application has already gotten 2 continuances, and this will be the 3rd. We don't object to you continuing to extend this, as long as we get a heads up, and maybe you can make a date certain on it. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Cindy Trigo. I'm also with Minden for Safe Technology. Just a couple of things. I respectfully request, since we were a dog in the fight on 4/3/25 regarding the decisions on Station 6 and that, with the continuance then, that we be included or somebody give us a heads up so we don't have to continue to bird dog that. We were a party to this thing on the continuance, and we should be getting notified from the county when these things come forward for us to be able to respond and be a party to, since we are a party to this situation. Thank you to, and I also am in agreeance to the continuance for this, as long as there is a earnest effort to find a new location. Because Maria's was here speaking earlier. As you know, her daycare is right there. Please keep in mind all the petitions that we handed in on all those people who have children in that daycare that have said that they would be willing to pull their kids out of that daycare, which could shut down Maria's business. Also, on the 4/3/25, Mark Gardner, thank you for following the codes and the ordinances of this county. And I think what he did should also be taken into account in looking forward to the next decision on where this tower goes. And Mr. Tarkanian, you sent out 3,000 emails to residents of this community, and you said on record 90% of the people wanted stuff in an open space, but yet Station 6 was voted right across the street from the elementary school. So please keep all that stuff in mind as we move forward for Station 14, because it's really important that we don't lose Allie's daycare, because that's 105 parents that'll have to find other places that are probably not available to put their children. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Is there any additional public comment on item 12.2, Verizon Wireless's appeal? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board. I just have one question. I want to make sure we understand the timeline that they're asking. So they're asking for what, Ms. Doherty?
Yeah, Linda Doherty for the record. The request has been to October 2, 2026. And also, the appellant representative, Mr. Joseph, would like to make a comment.
Sure. Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Just a correction. My name's Andrew Lisa with Epic Wireless. No, that's fine. Epic Wireless on behalf of Verizon. I just want to say, I appreciate you hearing this. I appreciate you considering the extension. Verizon's asking for this to continue its work as wholeheartedly finding an alternative that is going to be in a location that can be acceptable to the community. I mean, the whole point of Verizon investing in this area is to improve communication to the community, and we want to partner with the community. So finding a location that becomes acceptable and viewed in a more positive light is our goal. And in order to achieve that, we'd ask for some additional time. As staff has mentioned, as Linda mentioned there, the tolling agreement that was presented extends to October 2nd. So it sounds like the community would be interested in maybe a date certain. We're open to that as well. So I would give it to the board to make a recommendation of a time or date that makes sense. But again, we appreciate the time that you have taken, and I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. There is a question I have. We don't have, our meeting in October is the 1st or the 15th, not the 2nd. So I'm curious about your date.
The letter
October.
requests October 1st.
Huh?
The letter from
Says the 1st.
the attorney on behalf of Verizon requests an extension to October 1st.
1st, okay. Okay, the gentleman stated October 2nd, I believe, so that's why I wanted to clarify. Okay, and that would be on or before October 1st, is that correct? In other words, if you have a site that you selected that you feel is compatible, you might want to bring it back to us before October 1st, is that correct?
We would work with planning staff to present that alternative location and proceed through the standard review process with staff for their evaluation, at which point it would come back before this commission, I'm sure, for evaluation.
Yeah, yeah. Date certain is October 1st, on or before, right, on or before October 1st. And I think that should be a part of the motion, right? Okay. Okay. Is there any other questions of the appellant? Commissioner Rice? Just want to make sure.
No, sir, we've been here before.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I don't want to disinclude it.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Then I'll entertain a motion, right? So
I move that we grant the appellant's request to continue an appeal under DP 24-0204 to on or before October 1st, 2026.
I'll second.
motion by Commissioner Hale, seconded by Commissioner Rice to approve the applicant's request for continuance to honor before October 1st, 2026. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. Motion passes 5-0, and I agree with Commissioner Tarkanian. It was kind of a no-brainer. So, anyways, okay.
Thank you all
happy?
very much.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna, and we've been here, so before we go into item 13, we're gonna take a five-minute break and come back at, 11:10, okay? So. I need to get started. Okay. I'm going to start the meeting over again now, or I'm going to resume the meeting, I suppose, not start it over. Okay, I don't want to. We've had a lot of business already conducted, so thank you. Okay, if the commissioners can please take her seat. Okay. Okay, we're going to go now into 13.1 for possible action, discussion to approve the proposed Dust and Wonder Trail spike installation locations at Dangberg Home Ranch located at 1450 Nevada 88, Highway 88, Minden, Nevada, APN 1319-36-000-005, and the Carson Valley Cinemas located at 1760 U.S. Highway 395 North, unit number 4700, Minden, Nevada, APN 1320-30-211-093, is being presented by our great Community Services Director, Brooke Adey.
Thank you, Commissioner Gardner. Brooke Ady here, Community Services Director. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity today to talk about this project. I have a couple people here that I'm going to introduce that are really going to talk about the project a little bit more. I'm really just helping facilitate the process, and there are 2 locations that are within the county, and so it's important for me to be a part of the process, but they're the ones that have a lot of the information. So I have Brian Fitzgerald, who is here. He is the president of the Carson Valley Arts Council. And then I also have joining me is Eric Brooks, and he is the Art and Culture Program Manager with Visit Carson City. And so the 2 of them have been working quite a bit on this project called the Dust and Wonder Trail, and some grant funding that they were able to secure. So I will have Brian say a couple things, and then I'm going to hand it over to Eric.
Good morning. Brian Fitzgerald, yes, you know me as the president of the Carson Valley Arts Council, but you may not know I'm also vice president of the Dust and Wonder Trail Board of Directors, a nonprofit that was created out of a grant through Travel Nevada. You have heard me perhaps talk about the Cultural Corridor Project for some time. We've had some town halls in the community where we've talked about this project and this process of partnering not only with Carson Valley, but with Carson City, Virginia City, Gold Hill, up in that area. And so this is a project that is highlighting the cultural, historic, and artistic assets that we have in those regions. And it's also dovetails nicely with the fact that Douglas County has adopted in recent years a public art plan, as well as language within your master plan and strategic plan that identifies the potential of the economic impact of art. And so we're very excited to bring this project forward. This is just the beginning. Your packet has a lot of information about the Dust and Wonder Trail, about this project, and about this first phase. In identifying 9 locations where we're anticipating locating some wayfinding signage and a little piece of public art. And with that, I am going to turn it over to the president of the Dust and Wonder Board of Directors, Eric Brooks.
Good morning, Eric Brooks for the record. We appreciate all of your time and energies to listen to this project and presentation this morning. My name is Eric Brooks. I'm the Arts and Culture Program Manager for Visit Carson City. I inherited this project 2.5 years ago. Project all in all has been almost 4 years in the making. So we are now at the fun part where we're going to do art and community building. So the big picture, as Brian mentioned earlier, is to build an infrastructure using art that's going to want people to come to our region and stay in our region longer. But it also has community building aspects where we're going to build community pride and educate people with our amazing, amazing Western history. So the infrastructure project during these first 2 years, which will wrap up on October 8th, is the railroad theme. So when we were talking about what really connects Carson Valley and Carson City and Virginia City, it came down to the railroad, and in particular the V&T Railroad, and what it all had to accomplish with the Comstock load coming out of Virginia City, the Mint in Carson City, and then the train running down into Minden, all of those migrant workers coming here. Because of our region, the West Coast was able to be built. And much like the Transcontinental Railroad was connecting America, our railroad connected the West to the rest of the world. So we want to share these stories with everyone. Not just the people that live here, but people who travel here from all over the world. So we have commissioned 31 total sculptures that have the railroad spike theme. These are wayfinding interpretive sculptures. So the front is going to have one word that will identify that venue. Dangberg Ranch has selected land as their one-word identifier. Brewery Arts in Carson City has selected art. St. Mary's in Virginia City has selected vision. So these 27 locations will have that one word in English. At Datso Lali's house, we're going to do Washoe in the front. And then there's a group of many different languages, those who were affected, the Washoe tribe, Paiute tribe, and Shoshones. And then also the people that helped to build this great railroad system. We have Italians, Celtics, Germans, Basque. So of all these different, and other languages as well. So then we have these 3 other sides we can translate into different languages. Carson City primarily, we're going to be doing Washoe, Paiute, and Shoshone. We'll also be doing some Chinese in the old Chinatown. And these will be cut out of this Corten steel and then back to a stainless steel. The artist who was selected to do the 27 small ones, which will be 53 inches tall, is Jeff Schomburg. If you've been downtown Reno, the big Believe letters, that's Jeff's piece. At ACES Stadium, it's home with little Nevadas cut out. That's Jeff. So we're very thankful that he had the time to do this project.
So for our public's experience, this one is a miniature, right?
Yes.
Okay, this is just your talking points one.
Yeah, it just helps
The
to have
other
a
one will
visual.
be, as you said, a little over 4 feet tall, right?
Yeah.
So, okay.
And then there'll be a slight platform here where there'll be approximately 8.5 by 11 inches of verbiage that will tell a unique story about that location. We don't want it to be just what you would read on Wikipedia, but something a little bit out there. We're working with Lauren Jaslow, based in Virginia City. She's a journalist historian, and she's going to be compiling those blurbs. It will also contain a QR code that will link back to a website and a digital map that will have video and audio assets and a fuller story of that location. And that QR code will be available on all 31 of those pieces. So we talked about the 27 small ones. What are the other 4? Well, we're going to do 3 12-foot ones with a little bit different design that will mimic railroad tracks. Those are going to be designed by Carson-based artist Seth Johnson, and those will be located at the more important parts of the V&T. So the 2 terminus points, V&T Depot in Virginia City, Minden Mill, and Minden Mill is ecstatic about this project. They're really excited to be part of it. And then Eastgate Station, where the V&T still operates out of. So those will be the 12-foot ones. So we still have one more. What should we do? Let's do the world's tallest railroad spike sculpture. So we just commissioned last month Seth Johnson, who's doing the 12-footers. He's going to compile with his team a 69-foot tall interpretive railroad spike sculpture that will be placed at the Nevada State Railroad Museum. Why 69? Well, the V&T Railroad began its service in 1869, so we wanted to give a little nod back to that history. At the base of the 69-foot spike, there will be interpretive panels. We're going to be telling the Chinese-American story on the railroad, the African-American story building the railroad, also the Comstock lode in more detail. And we're working with a group that does AI integration interactive pieces and the Washoe tribe to have, when you shoot your phone on this QR code, a Washoe rendition. It's a little bit, not quite cartoonish, but illustrative. We'll tell a story in the Washoe language of the lands with different languages that can be subtitled. So really excited. We're trying to get everyone in the community, all demographics interested in this. The education part is something I'm really excited about. This is going to be the big spike is somewhere where schools are going to want to be coming to. They're going to learn these stories. And then you've got that map. You're going to be able to explore all of these different destinations thoroughly through arts, history, and culture. And so we're here today to talk about the 2 locations in Douglas County, the Carson Valley Cinema, which will become the hub of Carson Valley arts in all forms, and also Dangberg Ranch. That's a lot, so soak it in for a second. If you have any questions, I would love to answer them to my best of my ability.
I was at the presentation that was given at the Carson Valley Museum a few weeks ago. So I actually sort of kind of know the answer to this question, but would like it to be discussed here. And that is, can you give us some idea of the economic benefit that's anticipated with the spikes?
Yes, so doing the world's record, that is a whole other demographic of people that like to travel, the curious traveler.
I should have said the spikes in Douglas County.
Oh, the spikes in Douglas County. So they're all connected. So anyone, no matter where they are, when they get that QR code, they're going to see the ones that are in Douglas County, and they're going to have that desire to come see what you have in Douglas County. The numbers that we've run through just roadside attractions, 40,000 to 200,000 a year, people travel to see these quirky roadside attractions. And so that's the big draw, is the big one, and then that's going to filter out to the rest of the communities. So we'll see growth in the creative economy in mom and pop shops, restaurants, and definitely in hotels, that overnight lodging where people are going to make this a destination in Carson Valley and then stay longer than they normally would to go and see other parts of our region.
If I could elaborate on that as well. So like I said before, this is just the beginning, okay? So there's a lot of other art, history, and culture related projects that are that will be following this. And so we're before you for just 2 locations because there are other locations within Douglas County, a total of 9, where we need to go through other entities like the town of Minden or the town of Gardnerville or town of Genoa. And so ultimately we'll have 9, and that is just the beginning. There could be a future phase where after we initiate this early phase that hopefully we can add some other locations down the road. But there are other projects that are going to include murals and other public art attractions that will help embrace the whole public art, creating a destination. And of course, we're working with the county and the towns on how can we revitalize downtown, make it a little more pedestrian friendly. And I think having public art is an initial attraction to bring your cultural tourist in, but there's also going to be more programming that comes. And of course, what we're working on with the Arts Community Center, the Community Arts Center over at the Carson Valley Cinemas location, I think there's a lot of potential to add more arts programming that also can attract tourists and visitors, and not only supporting our local arts community, but doing a lot more that puts us on the map as an arts destination. So this is really just the beginning of what I think, if we can ride the momentum that we've generated in the last couple of years and keep things going, I think there's a lot of great things to come, and the economic impact can be quite significant.
Thank you, Brian. That was well said, better than I could say.
Okay, thank you. Yes, okay. So the other 7 locations really haven't been determined yet because they require you to go. I'm sure that Nevada's oldest thirst parlor would probably be interested in one, but they're probably looking at Mormon Station versus that, so.
Again, just to clarify, Brian Fitzgerald, Vice President, Dustin Wonder Trail. So in your packet, we do have the 9 total locations that we had initially proposed. And we're trying to spread them out between Minden, Gardnerville, Genoa, and then including Wally's Hot Springs as well. And so I think the initial Genoa locations we talked about, the Kinsey House, and then the museum, is that right? The Historic Museum in Genoa.
Eric Brooks, for the record,
I missed that in the I missed that in the presentation. My apologies.
Chair Gardner, Eric Brooks, for the record, I can read through those locations if you like. I brought a list of them.
Why not? Sure. 698. Okay.
Gardnerville Station, Seaman Pond, which was approved last night by the City of Minden, Carson Valley Museum, Genoa Museum, David Wally's Hot Springs, Kinsey House, Dangberg Ranch, Carson Valley Cinema, and then the 12-foot at Minden Mill.
Well, actually, several in the Genoa area. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions, commissioners? Now that I've embarrassed myself that I didn't know that in the package, but.
Well, the financial impact is a little bit unknown, but it seems to me like it would not exceed the amount of $20,000 in the funds that we have already in the Public Arts Paths project in our already budgeted.
Can I? Oh. Do you mind? Brooke 80 Community Services Director. A couple budget cycles ago, there was an approval for using some room tax dollars to set aside for public art foundations. There's $20,000 that have been in that account that we have sort of been waiting until we can come up with a public art project. The installation for these is probably going to cost around $300 to $500. So for the town of Minden, I think their public works guys are going to be able to do it. Carson City, their public works have agreed to do the installation. So the cost is fairly minimal for the installation.
I was going to say 20 grand for that would be
Yeah, that's how much we have in this account for public art, but that's not how much this is going to cost.
Yeah, I was going to say I'll come here. I'll be there myself. So, yeah. All right. Thanks.
We get that on the record, right? That he's. Okay. Okay, very good. I don't mind either, you know. Okay. If there's no other questions, go ahead.
That might be of interest. Because the grant came into Visit Carson City originally, although it was very much a group effort between the 3 DMOs. Visit
I'm
Carson.
gonna ask you to say
Eric
what
Brooks
that
for the
is.
record. Thank you.
Between the 3 whats?
The destination marketing organizations.
Of which Carson Valley Visitors Authority is one.
Correct.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you for the clarification. The pieces have been contracted through the artist, and the artist is responsible for all maintenance for 2 years. So with that obligation that Visit Carson City has with the artist, they will remain in ownership of Visit Carson City through that 2 years. And then at that point, we'd like to release them to the ownership of wherever that venue is. So these 2 would become part of the permanent art collection for Douglas County.
Commissioners, any other questions? Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. This is a possible, that sounded like a bell. This is a possible action item, so at this time, we'll entertain public comment on item number 13.1.
Jim Jackson. As most of you know, I'm a railroad enthusiast. I have one in my yard. That would be nice in my yard. Not the 69-foot one or the 12-foot one, that one. Did I misunderstand that there was $20,000 in our budget for this?
Can I answer that question? Well, no, there's $20,000 in an account for which this qualifies to be paid
It's
out of.
The room tax
So,
type thing?
yeah. So
Okay.
what I heard is this is going to cost in the range of $300 per location.
Okay. That's better. Because I was going to say, if it's $20,000, absolutely not, because you guys are in the hole already. You need to dig yourself out. As far as all these locations, I would make sure that the location's actually going to exist before you put it there. And I think the idea of them is very nice. I don't know how many people will go to the smaller ones. They will definitely go to the one in Carson City. I have driven all over the country, Promontory Point, all these places that are out in the middle of nowhere to see trains, see what trains go on. I'll be driving up to see the big boy come in through Reno this summer and everything. But I would just caution on where they are put, that they will exist. And at the end of the 2-year period, is there an expense when it gets turned over to the county? Is there going to be a chargeback or anything like that? And at that point, if there is damage done to them, I assume it's going to be the county that's going to have to fix them. And has there been any cost on what maintenance might cost on these things? Last night at the Minden meeting, I asked a question on the material that they were made of, because if they were of a brass or a copper, they'd be gone within a week after you put them in. And they said, no, they're not of a material that's going to be of any value, so that's a good idea. That's pretty much my comments. Just be careful on where the money's spent, because we're short. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Still, good morning. Ellie Waller. I think we have a missed opportunity on location with a co-location of the Pony Express Trail somewhere. That might be in the town of Genoa. There is the actual sign in Indian Hills across from the Jacks Valley Elementary, just to tie in North County, and maybe something down in Tahoe, Topaz Ranch. I mean, to draw the whole county into this art needs to start somewhere, and this sounds like it's a good trail for that. And thank you, Mr. Jackson, for bringing up the maintenance issue for future years, fiscal budget planning. Thank you.
Jim Slade. I'd just like to briefly thank Brian for his ongoing support of the arts in Douglas County, his leadership at Arts Council and this work as well. I wish that the holes we had to worry about were only $20,000 holes. I worry much more about the $20 million holes and the $100 million holes. You as county commissioners need to always be fiscally responsible, and I think you know that. We have a very tax-averse community. We have a lot of needs. We have a lot of deferred maintenance on roads and other things that needs to be tended to. And so we need to be careful, particularly with the really big expenses, before we worry about small expenses like this one.
Thank you. Additional public comment on item number 13.1?
So my name is Rebecca Sparagowski. I am the director of the nonprofit Friends of Dangberg Home Ranch. We help the county administer and manage the Dangberg Home Ranch out on Highway 88. We've been in collaboration with the Dust and Wonder Trail. We've been in their talks with them, and the board of the Friends of Dangberg have unanimously approved our inclusion in this project, and we're all very excited about it. Not just because of the potential for foot traffic and people coming in, but also because of the network that this group is building. They're trying to be very conscientious and maintain ties with the communities, the community members, the local businesses, and trying to get everybody to work together. And we believe as a nonprofit that this will open up opportunities for us to build connections and get access to resources that we might not otherwise have, which would help us help you maintain this historic site that the county does own.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment? Okay, seeing no additional public comment, I'll bring it back to the board. I guess the only question I really have is, initially you're looking at 9, and I guess the question was asked, are there opportunities for additional ones beyond the 9 per community?
Brian Fitzgerald, Vice President, Dust and Wonder Trail. Short answer is yes. I mean, I think when we did our initial brainstorming of artistic, historic, and cultural locations, there's at least 2 dozen that we came up with. And then when we start talking with folks like Dennis Little and Jen Toon and Keith Lewis, that list continues to grow. There's a great opportunity for locations that I think would be applicable. What happens, you heard Eric Brooks mention that come October 8th, the initial 2-year period of the grant that has funded the Dust and Wonder Trail and helped us create the foundation for this organization, we will now be on our own as a nonprofit rather than under the umbrella of Visit Carson City. So a lot will depend on the funding, how we address the new platform that we are creating, the social media presence, a membership component, and how the funds will come in not only to continue funding the organization, but our executive director, and then the other pieces like adding more public art and more programs. And so a lot will depend on what grant opportunities are out there and what donations we can get to expand on this initial phase of public art in Carson Valley.
So there might be an opportunity for an entity, I suppose, to ask your organization for the placement of one of these at their expense.
Correct. I think Eric Brooks, I think it was $2,000 per spike. So yeah, these 53-inch spikes, at least the cost that we're expending with this current contract is $2,000 per spike. And so, yeah, we can certainly work with private locations. Of course, we want to make sure it fits within the realm of the mission of the Dust and Wonder Trail to be artistic or historic or historical. But yes, there will be opportunities.
I think the other question I heard from Mr. Jackson actually was, whose responsibility after the 2 years, who's responsible for maintenance of the spike?
Brooke 80 Community Services Director. When the 2 years is up, then the responsibility for maintenance of the artwork goes to the entity on where it's located. So these would then become the responsibility of the county. These two, only these two.
And can you tell us what that would entail? I'm not sure who would, yeah.
They're going to be constructed out of hollow tube on the inside and then wrapped with Corten steel. It'll have a natural aging patina to it to look like an old railroad spike. The maintenance is very, very minimal. The only thing you would really need to do is dust off the cobwebs and the leaves that collect in the cobwebs. If they are for some reason tagged with any kind of a paint or marker, that can easily just be sandblasted off and the patina comes right back.
Thank you. And as I understand it, you've also worked with the Washoe Tribe in getting their cooperation, right? Thank you. That's good. Any other questions, commissioners? Mr. Tarkanian?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, you pressed your button, and so, hey.
So I move to approve the proposed Dust and Wonder Trail Spike installation locations at the Dangberg Home Ranch and the Carson Valley Cinemas.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Tarkanian, seconded by Commissioner Hales to approve the proposed Dust and Wonder Spike Trail, or Trail Spike, and their locations as indicated in the agenda item. Since no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing them. Yeah. I'm sorry, I forgot to, it probably is included in the package. Never mind. Okay, we will now go to item number 13.2, and that is for possible action. It's being brought forward again by our Community Services Director, Brooke 80, and this is discussion to approve the Douglas County Fairgrounds Master Plan prepared for the Douglas County Community Services Department by Frame Architecture Incorporated and Wood Rogers. Miss 80. And she is joined by, I'm not sure exactly, what your title is. I know you're
super important.
I know it is, but it's outdoor recreation, which is the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a director? Are you a manager?
I'm the administrator. Denise Baronio, the administrator for the Nevada Division of Outdoor Recreation.
Welcome, Miss Denise Baronio.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Gardner, Brooke 80 Community Services Director. I am joined by Denise Baronio, as she's introduced herself, and Derek Kirkland with Wood Rogers. So just to give a little bit of history of how we've gotten here today, this has been a project that we've been working on for about the last year. During the last budget cycle and through the strategic planning process, it was identified that we wanted to focus on some indoor and outdoor recreation and some amenities at the fairgrounds. So the Community Services Department applied for a grant through Conserve Nevada. We were awarded a $45,000 grant. And the room tax budget provided $55,000 for a total of $100,000 that we went into contract with an architect to complete this process. So we did a request for proposal, a competitive bid, and we got several applicants. We selected Frame Architecture for a couple reasons, but they had done a lot of work on the Reno Rodeo Arena, and we felt like they were the ones that had the most experience with the type of project that we were looking forward to doing. And then they subcontracted with Wood Rogers. So there are two pieces to this project. So overall, it's a master plan, but there were two pieces. One, looking at the actual fairgrounds and what amenities we wanted to add to the fairgrounds, and then looking at the adjacent BLM property and how we could use that property. And so we did a land use site study, which will go through all of the pieces within the slide. So this is part this does meet a strategic plan goal to explore this opportunity. We did lots of site visits and everything. And so the three of us, we will be talking on different pieces of this plan.
Good afternoon. Derek Kirkland with Wood Rogers. Do apologize, Jeff Frame with Frame Architecture had some medical stuff come up, so he couldn't be here today, but I think we've all been involved the last year, and we'll cover all the pieces and questions that you have. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So as Brooke mentioned, one of the things we want to do is really look into the strategic plan and the master plan and kind of look at kind of the vision of this area. And so through all the public outreach and reading all the existing documents you guys have, we created a mission statement, which is to preserve and celebrate Douglas County's rural character by developing the fairgrounds into a vibrant, inclusive, year-round community hub that supports agriculture, celebrates local traditions, and strengthens cultural and economic vitality for generations to come. And I think that was really kind of a collaboration of a lot of different pieces, a lot of different people providing input. And I think one of the most important things of that is, and we heard a lot of this through the public outreach, was really kind of creating a year-round opportunity for the fairgrounds and really trying to build that up to support some economic vitality, but really kind of foster kind of what Douglas County has been all about for all these years and protect that heritage as well. Next slide. So we did go through the strategic plan, and we really tried to look at not only the strategic plan, but also the county goals and initiatives. And so we highlighted a couple here from the strategic plan. Again, kind of preserving Douglas County's natural beauty, the rural character, kind of leaving a legacy for generations, and also the county goals of preserving that heritage and culture and sustainable tourism. The second one was enhancing residents' quality of life, expanding outdoor recreation, culture, and performing arts. And the county goals and initiatives were to increase opportunities to enjoy outdoor recreation, specifically mentions the Equestrian Event Center, and enhancing more indoor, just kind of embracing that whole year-round recreation. And through that, we crafted 4 goals for this master plan. Again, enhancing the year-round usability, the heritage and the agricultural components to it, but also improving accessibility for contestants and visitors. That was one thing we heard quite a bit, was just better access to the facility in general. And as we look at the broader master plan and kind of planning out the next 20 years of build out of this facility, just really kind of embracing kind of the flow of the traffic and the contestants versus visitors and just different events that would be happening maybe simultaneously. And then goal 4 was really looking at fostering economic impact and regional partnerships. And I think you'll see in the presentation that the location of the fairgrounds in Douglas County to a much larger region, the economic opportunities, there's improving this facility does do that for sure. Next slide. So obviously when we go through a master plan, we look at existing conditions and just kind of understand the existing facility. I think you guys have all seen it and lived it. But generally it's 1,500 seat capacity. It's generally right now within the Douglas County property is about 36 acres. It has various things such as horse barns, practice arenas, the pavilion, kind of an indoor facility there, and then obviously some other facilities that come along with that, as well as the maintenance building, and obviously there's some great outdoor recreation that surround the site that we wanted to maintain access to as well. And I'm going to turn it over to Brooke, who did a bunch of site tours and kind of talk through some of those.
Brooke 80, Community Services Director. Thank you. When we started this planning process, and I do want to emphasize, this is really taking a 30,000 foot view of what the facility could be. There is no funding that is identified to bring this project forward right now. This is really the planning stages. And so when we started our planning, we said what facilities are in the area that have similar amenities, that are similar communities and population and size, and that we would like to emulate here in our community. There has been a lot of conversation about the Fallon Event Center, so the 3C Arena, which is an indoor event center that has been built out in Fallon, and it is used year round for multiple different types of events. They do equestrian events, but they have the state wrestling tournament. They do craft fairs, they have dinners, they have concerts, they have all kinds of activities. And so that was really a great model for us to go and view and see what they are able to provide in their facility. One of the things that we looked at in all these different sites is what are some lessons learned? What are some things that you wish you would have done differently? And what are some things that are working really well? What we heard from the Fallon Event Center was, I wish we made it bigger, and we wish we had more storage. And so those are two common things that come when you build a facility. They wish the arena was longer. I think the number of seats they have is probably sufficient, but they wish that the arena was longer. And they're continuing to improve the site around the facility, even still with additional amenities that they're able to provide, and then doing some improvements to their outdoor arena. We were able to get some information on their operations, how many events they have and what the benefit is, and I think we'll go into some later slides to talk specifically about that. The other event center that we went to was the Winnemucca Event Center. Let me back up. So the Fallon Event Center was built, I think, around 2020, 21-ish. The Winnemucca Event Center is much older than that. And so they have a 2,800 seating facility. They have RV spaces. Actually, both facilities have RV spaces. One of the challenges that we found when we went to the Winnemucca Event Center is they didn't really have any type of master planning, which we were working on here. And so as funding became available, they put a facility here and there and here and there. And so there isn't a lot of flow. And when people go to the facility and they're in the RV park, they're not able to be close to where their horse stalls are. And we knew that that was something that was really important. So we were able to learn a lot from this facility. They do have an indoor warm-up arena, which was really nice, that provides great benefit to people who are preparing to go into the main event center for whatever event they're going to participate in. And so, and they are an aging facility. One of the things that Winnemucca has is they have their, the pillars, am I saying pillars correctly, that blocks the site of the entire arena. The Fallon Event Center didn't do that. They have an open concept. All of their pillars are behind the seating. And so it was really interesting to see how they learned from each other in that respect. Winnemucca also hosts a lot of events. I'm a wrestling mom, so I'll talk about wrestling, but they host the state wrestling tournament too, in addition to a lot of other events. So it goes to show how multi-use the facilities are. They're not just for equestrian. They can be used for all kinds of community events throughout the year. Two other, we went and saw the Murrieta Equestrian.
I wanted to stop you. I wanted to go back to these other two. I've been in both of these. I was actually in the Fallon Event Center as it was being built, I think in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, before it was open. And what's really remarkable about that is that you're saying they can have a different type of events, and yes, they actually bring in the fill, the dirt, don't they? I mean, they can take the dirt out and have a concrete floor in order to host an event if they want to.
Brooke Ady, Community Services Director, they actually had their dirt specifically engineered for this facility. They don't take it out and move it in. They're able to compact it into a way where it mimics concrete. It's like concrete.
Okay.
And so you could be out there when it's totally compacted and it feels like you're on a concrete floor. And then, so it's very versatile.
I haven't visited since its construction phases, so I don't know exactly what it does. I have been in the Winnemucca Event Center also, and I agree with your observations. It's kind of disjointed a little bit. So, thank you.
The other facility we went to was the Murrieta Equestrian Center, and so this is towards Sacramento. Their population in that facility, in that region is much bigger than ours, but this was a facility that was recommended for us to go look at because of their operation. So they are a private operation. They host many very big horse events throughout the year. They did not have an indoor climate controlled facility, but they did have multiple arenas that we were able to go and tour and see their setup. We were able to see the flow of how they have their camping, where they have all of their horse stalls, and all of the amenities that they provide. It's a very nice facility. And so when you provide high quality amenities, it attracts high quality, high money events. And so that was really demonstrated through this facility. So they had 5 indoor and 12 outdoor arenas, and a lot of permanent and portable stalls so that they can be pretty versatile in whatever the events they are having to add more stalls if needed. The fourth facility that we didn't actually go and visit, but we had done some online research to take away some of the information that they provided there as far as their competition spaces and the amounts of programming and things that they do there.
All right. Continuing on, this is Derek Kirkland Wood Rogers. So obviously we want to have a big kind of stakeholder collaborative process. And so when we first started this off, we held several stakeholder meetings. We held a couple different public workshops, a lot of different feedback from just the community, from users of the facility. I mean, it was pretty well attended. We had a lot of collaborative process in terms of we laid out maps and we had all kinds of different things and try to get different viewpoints from different stakeholders that use a facility in terms of circulation, kind of things that they want to see. If you go to the next slide.
Do you mind if I add?
Yeah,
I'm
go
just
ahead.
going to add, Brooke 80, Community Services Director. When we're looking at the public outreach, so we did 2 public outreaches. The first one that we did actually at the fairgrounds, and we noticed the residents within a certain radius to say, hey, we're looking at creating this facility. Please come. We really wanted to invite the residents to provide some feedback. We got a lot of information from them about things they like, things they don't like, and things that they are really worried about, which is things that really impacted how we moved forward through this project. And then we did have another meeting at the senior center, and we also had taken this before the Parks and Rec Advisory Board twice. We went initially to say, hey, we have this project, this is what we're looking at doing, sort of give us some feedback and guidance. And then March 3rd on 2026, we took it this actual final plan before the Parks and Rec Advisory Board for recommendation to bring forward to you. So the Parks and Rec Advisory Board has seen this and they did recommend it for approval.
Thanks, Brooke. Derek Kirkland, Wood Rogers. So, and the outcome of the public outreach, some of the things, these obviously we heard a lot of different things that all those comments were taken into account, including, as Brooke mentioned, with location of certain things just based on some of the input from the community surrounding there. But obviously restrooms, more arenas, just more space, more seating capacity. I think the other thing that came up to was, build it so you can increase the capacity at some point, but just generally not enough space out there, especially when you're holding multiple events. Parking was a big one. Parking circulation, just keeping contestants and visitors separated. Again, especially if we have multiple things going on at one time, is just making sure that it's safe for everybody to move around, especially for the horse areas and just kind of having some designated areas for them. Obviously, event-specific parking, having, especially what we learned from some of the other facilities, is just being able to have, for contestants, being able to have their RV facilities and be close to where the horses are. And then camping, we talked about the horse trailer parking and just being able to kind of maneuver around the facility. And then obviously some additional horse stalls and things to accommodate some of the contestants, but also just having more meeting space and just kind of where the concessions were located and just having more concessions available during events. And so all that taken into consideration, we started working with staff, and obviously these were presented back to the community as well, but came together and put together basically an overview kind of master plan, and we'll dive into each kind of phase of this because we did put together a phasing plan. Obviously, a facility this size is going to take some years to build and get funding for. And so the overview of the master plan basically expands the existing fairgrounds. There's the adjacent BLM land to the existing 36-acre Douglas County lands. The BLM land is about 570 plus acres. And so we actually looked at, one of the things we wanted to do was keep the existing fairgrounds operational, because as this takes time to build out, we want to make sure what's there continues to have the opportunity to be improved for now, while we're working on design and funding and trying to build some of these other facilities. And so we looked at kind of a circulation pattern of taking advantage of the existing facility while we build the other stuff, so expanding more onto the BLM land. And so we actually, with this master plan for the fairgrounds piece alone, we expand the 36-acre fairgrounds to about 104 acres. And so some of the things we wanted to do was look at kind of event space, both indoor and outdoor. And so you'll see, and with the additional event space, we want to make sure we had plenty of parking, and we had kind of that contestant parking. So the parking up above number 1 and number 3 would basically serve kind of all the facilities. That would be more of the visitors parking area, and then basically the parking number 13 to the south would be more the contestant, kind of the event parking, RV spaces, nice pull-through area. But that's also close to where you see kind of 11, 10, 12, all those are kind of the contestant areas where they would keep their horses, so they could be close there. And then number 5 is basically the large indoor events space. And number 9 is basically would be like a covered pavilion area or a covered arena area, so you could have multiple events going and still have kind of that indoor, especially if you get weather, which we do here. It would allow those to operate efficiently. And then kind of in the backside of that would be where all the you'd have plenty of room to maneuver trailers, and they could have practicing areas and all that stuff. And then we did number 6 is the community building, which could be used during events, but could also be used outside of events. And then the big lawn area, number 14, was something, it's about 10 acres-ish, but something where you could use during events, where you could have food trucks and things come in there, but you could do outdoor concerts and all kinds of different things there. So just, I think really what we kind of looked at with this master plan is trying to find really good circulation, but allow it to be used for multiple events at the same time, and also honoring kind of that year-round thought process. Next slide.
Brooke 80 Community Services Director, just to sort of help orient to what the facility, where number 17 is, that is the existing arena that we have right now. The county has put in a lot of infrastructure into that arena, and we wanted to make sure that we were able to preserve it. So that amenity that we have now is intended to stay as we move forward with this master plan as as an outdoor arena.
Yes, thank you. The existing community building out there, the community meeting building, that's not displayed. Would that go away?
Yes, that is correct. That would be, we have a new proposed building for that instead of the pavilion that we currently have. So it'd be number 6. So, and we'll show you renderings for each one of those 5, 6, 9, and 9. Yeah. 5, 6, 9.
Derek Kirkland, Wood Rogers. So this highlights, and Frame Architecture did kind of, based on some of the space planning, did put together some high-level concepts, and obviously at a master plan level, they are just concepts at this point, of just to kind of create a vision of what some of these could be. Obviously, all these have to go through a major design process, which, you know, these could change. So these are just, again, just a visionary type thing to kind of generate some excitement about what this could be. So the top photo is building number 1, which is the large, kind of the main feature, which is the indoor event center. And then number 2 is that community building, where you could use that for vendors and things during events, but it could also be used for the community. And then 3 is the covered outdoor arena. So then you still have kind of that outdoor space, but it's covered for weather. And then number 4 would be kind of that covered horse barns, which I think we heard quite a bit about. And so then kind of the other half of the master plan also talks about what we're going to do with the remainder of the BLM land through the RMPP process, or recreation and public purpose, having that master plan and how we would like to use that. And so we broke that into sort of two areas. One closer to Dump Road and kind of close to the amenity or the fairgrounds area would be kind of an active area where you could have anything from like an archery range was discussed, pump track, and obviously at 88 plus acres, there would be enough to separate all those uses, because we obviously don't want bikes running around when people are shooting archery. So we do recognize that but with that space, there'd be plenty of room to separate things and kind of move them around. But mainly focused on sort of that outdoor recreation component. And then there was a lot of use on the existing trails there to the south, and so we basically left the 270 acres as sort of a multi-use trail system that could be used for all kinds of different user groups. And then the community, we wanted to make sure we kept Mustang Lane open and available for those folks, especially for like emergency access for them. And so that's basically kind of the circulation pattern that we looked at as a whole. And then also the maintenance facility kind of up there towards the north. NDOT already has a facility up there, and so just showing that as a potential if the county were to, especially with some of the uses coming on here, if they wanted to expand their maintenance capabilities there.
Brooke 80, Community Services Director. A couple things that we heard from the community, I think, that are really important to highlight is they had really expressed that they wanted a buffer between where all of the houses are and where all of the events are taking place. And so we really considered that when we were looking at some of these spaces. And non-motorized use. So everything that we looked at in this area is non-motorized. There is, a bunch of trails out there that people use. And so the idea was, mountain biking, equestrian, hiking, things like that. So we're not looking at bringing any motorized use in, and we really wanted to help make sure that there was a buffer between all of the neighbors with all of the activities that were going on. So right now, where that multi-use trail system, all of that space is BLM land. And so people right now have the ability to go out there and camp for 14 days, to recreate, to go out into that area. If the county were to acquire that space, there's two ways that can be acquired. One would be through a recreation lease through BLM land, or the lands bill, which has been talked about for probably close to 2 decades. And so it would come under the supervision of the county. So the county would be able to oversee that space and make sure that people are using it appropriately. Right now, we're located next to it with the fairgrounds, but it makes it very, people come to us and they complain about things that are happening in that space. And there's not a lot we can do with it because it is under BLM. So we will have some more direct supervision over that space.
Could you also explain about Mustang Lane and that loop road, or is that coming up?
Brooke 80, Community Services Director. Mustang Lane is currently a dirt road, which is what we're looking at proposing it to be here. We are not putting this on the map as a point for users of the facility to use Mustang Road to get in and out of the facility. This is really intended to maintain a secondary exit and access point for the residents because the road is already there. And so that is why we've identified that. There are parts within the flow that it looks like it connects, but we would not allow Mustang Lane and through the neighborhood to be an entrance and an exit point for any of the events that are happening at the facility.
Derek Kirkland, Wood Rogers. So one of the things we really wanted to focus on was an implementation plan. Obviously, a plan this big, large buildings, the cost could be very high. And so we wanted to look at sort of a phasing plan based on kind of the community priorities. And so what we did was phase 1 really includes some parking improvements, and includes that kind of the key piece to this whole thing, which is that indoor event center. And so with phase one, it also gives us ability to basically keep all the existing facilities intact. As we're working on, there's a full design process that has to go through for phase one, look for funding for construction, and then obviously build that's going to take some time. And so we wanted to make sure that we were keeping our options open in terms of keeping that existing facility moving forward. A lot of the community members have talked about some additional improvements that are already planned, and so allowing those to continue while we keep working on kind of the new facilities. That's why we have phase one the way it is. And we'd be building some new access points to that as well. And again, all of those would come down to the design phase. And then as we get into phase two, we include the community building, the horse barn, and then that event lawn space with some event parking, and kind of start to build out more of the facility for multi-use purposes. Obviously, we show some construction costs there. These are very high-level planning, just something to start working towards in terms of budgeting. And they're really based on like per square foot costs and just some general high-level costs for some of the grounds improvements and new access points and parking. So this gives you a good idea of how phase one would work with the existing facility, and you can see 5 is basically the existing facility, and then the new building and new parking for the event center would all take place on the BLM land, kind of leaving the existing facility as it is today, and allowing any additional improvements that need to be made over the next few years to keep that going.
I have a question before we move on to that. The footprint that the county currently owns, does the footprint that we own out there, does that already include the land that 1 and 2 and 4 is proposed on?
Derek Kirkland, Wood Rogers. No, so 1, 2, and 4 would basically be on the BLM land. So the county line you can see kind of runs the backside of 2 down to that east side of 4.
Okay, so it's not. I mean, we have to have that land in order to even proceed with. No.
Denise Baronio for the record. We have already been discussing for almost 2 years now an RMPP lease, recreational and public purpose lease with BLM. This fits within those guidelines, and they are more than happy to accommodate this project.
Okay, but it also, as I understand it, is included in the lands bill. So if the lands bill does get approved this year, then that automatically becomes our piece of property, right?
Denise Baronio for the record, very optimistic to think the lands bill is going to ever get approved, but I appreciate the optimism. I mean, it's been almost 30 years that property has been identified in and out of several different lands bills. So, it's landlocked. It makes sense for the county to own it at some point in the future, and I think that BLM is more than willing to accommodate the project in all of its phases for what they have here today.
Derek Kirkland, Wood Rogers. So these are just renderings, obviously concept level that frame architecture put together that give you an idea of kind of what the scale and kind of the outside of the building would look like, as well as kind of the indoor. And then also as part of that rendering, frame also put together sort of kind of a layout of what that could be. And one of the things here is that you could design a lot of the seating, especially in that upper mezzanine area, so that it could be bleachers, or you could roll the bleachers back and they could be used as setup for tables and all kinds of different things. And as we mentioned, as we saw with some of the other facilities, is that the floor, the arena could actually be changed, so that could be utilized too. So I think having this indoor facility have the opportunity to serve multiple things, I think is one thing that we've listed in this master plan, and just something to think about as we move forward, just making sure we can keep that multi-use. So then phase 2, we add in basically that the community building. We add in the horse barn, the event parking, the event lawn space, and obviously with all those additional amenities, we would start to expand out some of that parking as well. And still, even with phase 2, we still keep some of those existing facilities, especially as Brooke mentioned, especially that outdoor arena, and maybe some of the uses shift a little bit, but just still kind of keeping that existing facility going as we start to build this facility out.
I have a couple questions. The 10-acre lawn, a concern pops in my mind about the water to keep that looking nice. Was there discussion in the planning about that?
Derek Kirkland, Wood Rogers. So I don't know that we actually got into that level of detail in terms of like what that could be. I mean, it doesn't all have to be lawn. I mean, you could do some hardscapes and we could look at different opportunities as we go into design, but I mean, that is a good point. It's more of just a 10-acre, we call it lawn space, but what that ends up being, we did talk about, you can see kind of the area in front between 3 and 1. Would be part of like a big plaza area that would be all hardscaping where you could have food trucks pulled in there. And so we could expand some of that hardscape into 1 where maybe you have a little bit of lawn and we have some other hardscapes that could be used for events as well. So there's a lot of opportunity there.
Can you tell me how many acres a football field is, just for context?
Oh, man.
Or how many feet? How many feet those 10 acres are long and wide?
I'm sorry, I don't have that off the top of my head right now.
Okay. And then I guess my other question, and I don't know where this fits, but was there discussion about, do we really need to plan for a second outdoor arena if we already have our existing outdoor arena?
Brooke 80, Community Services Director. We heard pretty strongly from the community and the users of the facility that having 2 separate arenas is very important. The way that the fairgrounds operates right now, in our 1 arena, we have equestrian events, but then we have a demolition derby, we have tractor pulls, we have all sorts of things. And the equestrian community is very uneasy about using the same type of facility where we could have shards of metal from a demolition derby. And so we would really identify these 2 spaces as very different use. We could do monster trucks and all of those things in our current outdoor arena, and then we can shift our equestrian events to this new outdoor equestrian facility.
That's helpful. Thanks.
Inside the track area, I just did the math, is roughly 1.4 acres.
So 6.
Thanks, you mathematicians, for figuring that out.
Derek
So
Kirkland,
the
Wood
community
Rogers.
building that's identified here, what's the comparison in size from that to our existing community building that we have?
I do not know that off the top of my head. It is bigger. Brooke 80, Community Services Director. I just, for context with the grass area, Lampe Park is 32 acres. So I don't know if that helps at all when you're thinking about how big of the space it is. And as far as the indoor community building, I don't know offhand, but let me see if I can find it.
Derek Kirkland, Wood Rogers. And so, yeah, I think just to kind of wrap up on this one, I think there's a lot of opportunity. We call it a lawn space, but at the end of the day, it's kind of an open area. How much lawn? Obviously that'll go through design. I think the question on the community building, I mean, just looking at scale wise, it's at least double, if not triple the size of the current one.
So I don't want to be, I'm very positive about this, so I don't want my next comments to be taken out of context. But the fact is that, I mean, these are all great. However, when we look at that price tag, and we don't have even the $475 as I see it right now. So, it's nice to talk about these things, and it's good to look into the future on what it could be. I just want to remind the public that Ms. 80 stated it very, very early in this presentation, that there is no identified funding source for this project. So I just need to remind the public that this is a 30,000 foot, as you said, 30,000 foot level observation. So.
Yeah, Brooke 80, Community Services Director. This is a very important piece of this process, this master planning, identifying what the community wants, sort of how we want to plan the space, helps us in seeking grant funding, donations, things like that. So we're able to put together a picture to say this is the possibility of the facility. And so people can help support it and we can apply for grant opportunities.
I had a question. What, it's in the packet, I don't see an amount, but it said that we approved the study, the cost for the study last year, or 74, 75, 2024-25. How much was that, did we approve?
So the total funding that went towards this project was $100,000. We received $45,000 in grants from the Conserve Nevada through the state of Nevada. And then the room tax put forward $55,000.
If it helps, that pavilion is 11,400 square feet, so I don't know what you're proposing in building 3.
It appears that we don't have that level of detail for that building. In what I'm looking at right now, if I go to the appendix, I think it might be in the appendix.
Derek Kirkland, Wood Rogers, and obviously, again, just master plan high level, 30,000 feet, and there is some detailed information that we have in the appendices that Jeff did to basically lay out those buildings. So it's really a starting point to see, like, if you had this size, it also comes with this cost. So during design, if there's funding that becomes available through the design process, that could get scaled way back. And just generally the area and location of the master plan and where it's located is probably the most important thing. And then we can kind of scale back and have some information as to why we scaled it back and kind of what we're still accommodating and what we had to leave out as a result of scaling back. These are just some examples of different outdoor facilities that take place. Obviously concerts in the park, but there's tons of different events. But also the other thing we identified with an open area like that is for emergency staging and evacuation operations becomes a huge important piece. And then the way we kind of laid it out with the overflow, it could be used for kind of, again, vendor space. It could be used for food trucks. It could be used for all sorts of things to support when the fair is up and running. And so that's why we kind of left that open. So again, these are just concepts with lawn, but if all 10 acres is lawn, that'll get flushed out through design, and a lot of the questions about sustainability and how much it's going to cost to water that lawn or what type of lawn it is. There's a lot of opportunity there to kind of flush some of that out. But for right now, for the master plan purposes, really meant for kind of more of a 10-acre open space to support kind of outdoor events or emergency staging evacuation operations. Moving on to the community space. So obviously, kind of talked about this a little bit. Some different uses for this would be obviously open to the community use for different events, but it also can be used for vendor and exhibitor space during the rodeo or other events. Also for emergency operations, become an emergency center, as well as different community meetings, workshops, banquets, all kinds of different things. And I probably can't list them all, but just gives the community a good opportunity, but also provides some indoor space to support events that take place at the fairgrounds. Horse barn and holding pens. Obviously, this was a big topic that came up throughout the process, the public process, and so we really want to come up with a way for contestants, especially build a nice facility place for them to keep their animals and have good access to their animals, but also good access into kind of the event space. And I don't know if there's anything else I'm missing on that one. Okay. And obviously future components would be additional parking. Obviously the BLM land would be those would be based on funding that becomes available. Obviously the maintenance facility as funding becomes available. And then as we add different things, we'd have to add different parking Also, number 8 was a cultural center. Cultural centers can range from indoor to outdoor, so we don't really have a concept for that. I mean, it really would depend on funding and what the county wants it to be. And then on number 3 would be basically at some point, if there's funding, expanding some of the event parking, and adding number 10 would be adding some additional space for those contestants. We also talked with some different groups and adding a place for like the 4-H facilities. Anything else I'm missing, Brooke, that you want to
Brooke 80 Community Services Director, I really want to emphasize the importance of the fairgrounds during an emergency. So right now, the fairgrounds becomes a very important facility if there is any type of flood or fire and we need to make it an emergency command center, emergency evacuation center. And as it stands right now, it can meet the need, but there are it is not quite sufficient for all of the things that we would like it to have. And so when we talk about expanding emergency evacuation and event parking, the idea is to have some event specific and emergency management RV parking. So oftentimes people get evacuated from their home and we create evacuation shelters, but they can't take their animals, or if they have livestock, they can't take their livestock. This provides an opportunity for people to evacuate. They have their own RV. A lot of people in this community have their own RVs, and they're able to go with their pets. They're able to stay next to their horses and camp in a location. And so those are some of the things that are really important that went into the planning of this facility, is really looking at as from an emergency management lens.
Probably go to the next slide. And so some of the operations, obviously revenue streams. So when we're looking at it, yeah, it does have some big price tags on there right now. But they're also adding those facilities brings a whole nother thing in terms of revenue streams, from the different events, from rentals, from, also obviously different things for the community programs. We do have, increase in some staffing. Obviously, there's more facilities to maintain. Obviously, the capital improvements are a cost themselves. But generally, I think overall, when you look at the master plan, I mean, it's typically a master plan, something that's laid out. It's not meant to be built overnight. It's going to take us some time to build it. But it's a place for us to start to looking at different things, trying to lay it out, what's best for the community, and kind of identifying opportunities, getting some on paper where we can start to look at growth strategies and work with different agencies to maybe look at donations and different grants and all kinds of different things to help offset some of these costs. And then once you get the revenue streams in, obviously you can help with some of the operations. Next slide. And with that, we'll turn it over to Denise.
Thank you. Denise Baronio, Administrator for the Nevada Division of Outdoor Recreation. Also lifelong equestrian, and so I do have a lot of personal experience. I have competed at both Rancho Marietta, I have competed at Desert Horse Park, and multi other facilities across the country. And so it does matter that we have this many arenas. It does matter that we have this many barns. If you want to be different than Reno or Fallon or Winnemucca, and you want to draw people to come here for a different reason than those facilities, you have to be different. I know the cost is a bone of contention probably with the public more than the county, but I can give an example of the UNR business building that was just constructed with 100% private money, $160 million facility. You don't have to, the county doesn't necessarily have to come up with the funds for this, like Brooke was saying. There's 5 grants that I can think of off the top of my head that would qualify for different areas of this to be constructed. So I think the money, I know, is going to be a bone of contention, but I feel like you have to have the plan to figure out how much money you're going to need and where it's going to come from. I did want to just share some of the economic data that the Division of Outdoor Recreation has compiled in the last year and a half on the economic impact of the outdoor recreation economy. As of a couple of weeks ago, the Bureau of Economic Analysis data was released. The outdoor recreation industry is a $1.3 trillion national industry. For Nevada, it's a $13.7 billion annual economic output. 3.1 billion contribution to Nevada's gross domestic product, which is 3.3%. We create over 75,000 jobs for outdoor recreation. That doesn't just include the equestrian, that's all outdoor recreation jobs. Nevada has the 4th highest outdoor recreation industry growth rate in the country. And really exciting, we have now surpassed mining as the 2nd largest industry in the state. So I think that, while we're going to see that gaming is still an important piece of our state's economy, we're going to see probably some sort of hybrid change in what draws tourists and also draws the residents of this community for wanting to live here and for quality of life. So I think we're going to see kind of a hybrid model of both tourism and outdoor recreation moving forward as an economic stimulus. 40% of the economic benefits come from rural counties, and that's only 10% of our population. That's huge. So really 15 counties out of 17 counties produce the most outdoor recreation in our state. You can go to the next slide. And it also said on that slide that 2.06 billion in estimated annual avoided healthcare costs for people getting outside, mental health and wellness, and just getting outside and exercising. Go ahead. Recreation activity fuels multiple industries, including hospitality, retail, manufacturing, healthcare, recreation services, and small businesses. Stimulating the economy and overlapping recreation user groups, so like hikers who hunt, skiers who fish, equestrians who hunt or hike or bring their mountain bike when they go to an event like a horse show, shows the interconnected nature of Nevada's recreation economy. And it helps to attract and retain talent by offering a high quality of life and strong community identity. Before I go into some of these numbers, just a side note that the horse industry is part of Nevada's livestock sector, which contracts over $457 million annually to Nevada's economy. So wanted to just highlight a couple of different events. The Reno Rodeo, which is only a 10-day event, as we all know, attracts tons of visitors and residents to Washoe County, producing an average of 50 to 57 million in that 10-day period of an average of 5.35 million a day. The Snaffle Bit Futurity, which is a much smaller event, not a whole lot of visitors, but a lot of competitors. Equestrians are high-paying visitors and spend a lot of money when they come to town, 8 to 10 million annually just for the Snaffle Bit Futurity, which is a reining cow horse event that has come and gone to Reno over the years. It came back to Reno as it was more attractive than the Oklahoma proposed site. So the Area World Series of Team Roping Finale, that's a 10-day event in Las Vegas. That's in conjunction with the National Finals Rodeo. That is held at a different location than the National Finals Rodeo. And the payouts for that are massive, 5,000 teams. So that's just 10,000 competitors for that event in that 10-day period. The Desert International Horse Park, which I hope that this team will get an opportunity to visit, which is also known as Horse Shows in the Sun or HITS Thermal, just to bring some history back to the equestrian world here in Douglas County. HITS Tahoe was a horse show that was here from 2000 to 2003. So Horse Shows in the Sun had some 5-week horse shows for 3 years at Bentley's property and attracted quite a few visitors, and it attracted a great deal of competitors. The challenge that I saw as I worked at that event for the whole 3 years that it was here was that they overpromised and underdelivered on the facilities. So they had great arenas. The temporary stalls they were told they were going to be permanent stalls, permanent bathrooms, showers, amenities that if you're staying at a horse show for 5 or 6 weeks, you really want to be able to have, and those were never constructed. So folks went to other locations. The location here, the feedback was that it was a great location. A lot of folks stayed in Tahoe during that time, and obviously we didn't have as many hotel rooms as we do in Douglas County back then. But the Desert International Horse Park, the HITS show itself is only 6 weeks long. And most of the competitors, I would say probably 50 to 60%, stay 7 weeks. When they compete, bring multiple horses, bring their RVs, spend a lot of money when they're down at Desert Horse Park, $260 million annually. And really, you only see the peak season from January to March. So it attracts a lot of folks. Those folks go home, but they leave their money at the Desert Horse Park. I would just like to add, before you go to the next slide, that this project brings a lot of diversity, not only for outdoor recreation, but it is a sustainable project for that reason, that it has the diversity of a lot of different amenities. And again, repeating myself, but that the layout and design was very thoughtful to make sure that we differentiated ourselves from other counties that are close by, so that we would be the main attractant location for horse shows and for other kinds of facilities. And I just wanted to reiterate the RMPP lease that we were discussing earlier. You know, the RMPP lease is primarily through the BLM for competition, horse industry, expansion of fairgrounds. It is exactly used for what we are proposing, and BLM is very happy to accommodate the facilities and the layout and design.
Brooke 80 Community Services Director. Here's some information that we were able to gather from Fallon, the 3C Arena. They had put out some data just looking at the month of February alone, that they had 16,200 visitors just to their facility and about 5,000 plus out of town guests who came and stayed in their area. They have a lot of events throughout the year. I would say there's probably 2 weekends where they really don't have anything scheduled, which I think was Thanksgiving and Christmas. But they program the facility in such a great way that they can really maximize the space, because you have to turn over the facility from one event to the next. And they have done a phenomenal job at being able to be versatile from each event and making sure that they're able to support a variety of events that are coming their way. So in fiscal year 22 and 23, the Rafter 3C Arena and the entire complex, because there is an outdoor arena as well, brought in about $8.49 million to the local area. So that is people coming in, eating in the restaurant, staying at the hotel, spending money in local businesses. And so in 23 and 24, the local impact had risen even higher to about 11.6 million, and they're projecting for the and then the following year was about 12 million. So when you're looking at what type of a facility can bring to the community, it really does help support our economic vitality.
That's their yearly impact?
Correct.
So
in
if you
Fallon.
Times that by the sales tax, it's only 800,000. That wouldn't even cover the interest payment on building our project.
Well, this isn't the money that is coming into the facility. This is the impact that it has on the community
And the
and the
taxes-
support of the community.
And the taxes those people would pay, that would go back to the county.
And then here's some information that we were able to gather from the Visit Carson Valley. So they have some ways that they're able to grab data for people that are coming within the area and from out of the area and participating in some of our events. And so this is really like a year over year. It's by percentage. It's hard to nail down the number of exact individuals. But Josh Rudelbach with the Visit Carson Valley, if you ever need data on any of the events that are happening, he is your go-to guy. He's able to get a lot of information. So what we did is we provided him a full calendar year of dates where we had events scheduled, and he was able to look at how many people were coming to the facility and participating. And each year we have more and more events and attendance increases. So this is some information that he was able to provide just for use at our facility. The picture of here is that during the Douglas County Rodeo, that's not the only event he looked at. He looked at all of the events that are happening at the current fairgrounds.
Derek Kirkland, Wood Rogers. So kind of along those same lines, we kind of looked at, what the potential reach could be for Douglas County. Obviously, Douglas County, I think, sits in a much more unique spot than Fallon or some of the other rural areas, just because you're close to the state line, so you have access to, within a 2-hour drive, you're close to 2 million people. So when we start talking about all the different events you could potentially have, you have a much larger reach to draw in visitors compared to some of the other areas. So I think that's what this map basically highlights. Want to wrap it up?
Yep. Brooke 80, Community Services Director. So, what are our next steps is, seeking approval from the Board of County Commissioners to adopt this master plan, then puts us in a place where we can start looking for different types of funding to help with the process. And what would need to happen then would be design of whatever amenities that we're going to put in, looking at funding for existing facility enhancements, and then an indoor event construction center. So that is just for phase 1. And that is what is necessary. Also working with the BLM or through the lands bill, whichever opportunity we have, to acquire the BLM land so that we're able to expand. I do want to say that Douglas County does have an RNPP lease with the BLM right now, and that's Johnson Lane Park. And so when the county got the lease from the BLM for that parcel, they did a master plan and they said, this is what we want to use this space for, so that the BLM knew what they were getting into an agreement with. So those are some of the next steps. And
just to make sure we're all on the same page, RNPP is recreation and public purpose. And
Yes.
BLM will let local governments use things under that umbrella of category.
Correct.
And
Yes,
so
thank
even
you.
if we don't get the lands bill passed, which I'm a little more optimistic than we have a way forward under that process.
Yep.
I just wanted everyone in the room to be on the same page.
And I want to be really clear, in the current lands bill, the parcel that we're talking about has been identified for recreation purposes, not to build houses or anything like that, recreation purposes only.
Right, there are restrictions on that.
Correct.
Should the lands bill pass.
Yes.
Okay.
And with that, we're happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any additional questions? I think I've asked all. Okay, go ahead, Commissioner.
And first of all, disclosure that I do sit on the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee, so I have heard this presentation and I did vote to approve presenting this to the county commissioners. So I just want to put that out there. Wasn't my vote of approval, but to bring it here to this board. But my big question is, and it was something that was kind of whispered about at that meeting, but wasn't really brought forward to be addressed, was that, yes, we appreciate this master plan and all the work that's gone into it and what's in there, but at the same time, there are some immediate and practical improvements that have been requested, suggested, like bathrooms or other general usability that matter to the people that are using the facility now, today, for their current events. And so we really want to make sure that those requests continue to get attention and get improved, because we don't want to lose events that we're being provided today because we're focusing so much on trying to accommodate and deliver on the master plan. So, because it could be that we lose some of those events and we lose some of the people that use our facilities now. So that was, to me, something that kind of clued that was like, hey, that's actually pretty important. So how are we, maintaining that idea? Because I know there's not in the master plan restrooms in the area of the buildings that we're already building right now. So that seemed like a huge deal that we just kind of didn't address at all.
I don't know if you want to address that question. Was that a question or just?
Yeah, Brooke 80, Community Services Director. Yes, good point. That is something that has been that has come up before, and improvements that we make to the facilities are part of our capital improvement plan. And typically, the way that we do those is we work with our Parks and Rec Advisory Board. We set up public meetings where people come and they bring projects to us. So we talk with staff about what are some of the facility needs that we have. We look at funding availability that we have, and we create our capital improvement plan. We have short-term plans for like the current fiscal year, and then we have long-term plans that are things that are on our list, that get on our list in case a funding opportunity comes about, which is really important. Not everything on our list that we have has funding available for it right now, but it has been identified as a need and something that is a priority by our Parks and Rec Advisory Board. We bring our capital improvement plan before the Board of County Commissioners for approval. So if funding were to become available, we have the ability to do that project. So a lot of that happens through that process, and we have some like infrastructure improvements and stuff that we've had on our, I'll call it the CIP, Capital Improvement Plan, for many years. So I hope that helps answer your question and identify what that process is. So we will continue to look at things like that.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to make a couple comments before we go to public comment on this, because it is an actionable item. First of all, I was very impressed with the outreach that your department did in regards to designing this plan. Very impressive, and I thought it was very good and exhaustive, and we got a lot of input from a lot of people. Secondly, I don't think, I'll make this statement, I don't think the governor or the director of Conservation and Natural Resources could have chosen a more tremendous advocate for outdoor recreation than you, Ms. Baronio, and working with you on this over the last couple of years. So even though I no longer serve on the Parks and Recreation Commission, that's where this all started, and I appreciate that. If there, Commissioner Rice, did you have anything you wanted to share with us before we go to public comment?
Well, the only thing I want to share is that I think that this is a beautiful project, and it's not, nobody is asking for any money from us. I think that this is a look into the future, and I think that the recreational facilities in this county really need enhancement. And my wife being a horse person, I can tell you from experience, when you go to a horse show and the facilities stink, it's not a pleasant situation. And this looks like this will, when it's completed, should it ever be completed, it would be a world-class rodeo and horse event facility. And I think that the planning that's gone into this is phenomenal. And that's my comment.
Thank you. Any other questions, commissioners, before we go to public comment? Okay. I would remind the public that we're not approving, even when if we approve the Fairgrounds Master Plan, that's not approving the expenditure of a single additional dollar beyond what we've already spent on developing this master plan. So I think that's important for the public to keep in mind. So anyways, with that, we'll go to public comment. And it's a pleasure to recognize previous county commissioner, Mr. Larry Walsh.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Good to see you all and to hear Mr. Rice. I am in full support of this endeavor. I can't hear what you're saying, Nate. Oh, Larry Walsh. I thought I said it. No? Thank you.
He's just asking you to lean into the microphone a little bit.
Larrywalsh. I'm in full support of adopting this master plan. I have to give hats off to staff for having the forward-looking endeavor prepared. It's wonderful. You heard from Wood Rogers and staff that this is probably a living, breathing plan. I'm the father of an equestrian, the grandfather of an equestrian, and I've been to many, many events. And Mr. Tolbert, I appreciate your comment about the bathrooms and different amenities. They will come, okay? I'm sure they will come. So I applaud you for taking this opportunity to approve the plan and look forward to seeing it come to fruition. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim Jackson, 3 minutes isn't long enough. It's a beautiful plan. I told Jennifer I would have hired her to run my organization. I would have hired you to be my sales manager. I have been, over the past 50 years of horseback riding, going to event centers, equestrian patrol riding for sheriff's departments, patrolling equestrian centers, going to horse shows all over the country. I've been to a few of them. Been to a few of the biggest ones in Los Angeles. This outdoes them. Griffith Park, which was where the Olympics were held. Santa Anita, the Olympics were held. The Pomona Fairgrounds, the biggest county fairgrounds in the world. This plan outdoes any of their facilities. I think it's a little big for our county, but it's beautiful. But the price tag, if I added it right, was over $150 million. You can't build that. You're not going to get that money from any place. It'd be nice if you did, but you're going to have a lot of pushback. People are going to say, now we're going to bring in hundreds of thousands of people into our valley, and they're not going to like that. As far as being local, couldn't support it and everything. So you got a real quandary. If it does go through and you do find the money, we're going to rename you to Daddy Warbucks. I don't know how much it would cost to do this. Was it $100,000, if I understood it right, to get this plan to this point? I heard that it came from two sources. One was the room tax and one was a grant. When are you going to find a grant for our roads to fix them? We can find grants for everything else. And if you can find a grant to build this one, you can find a grant to build our roads. Everything. I wish you luck on getting this thing going. Maybe phase one should be, let's just improve what's actually there, not build anything new. I know last year we bought portable bleachers. I don't know if they've been used or not. I haven't seen them myself. I think one of the biggest events was the RV Destruction Derby that you had down there. That drew a lot of people. But I wish you luck on this, but I think it's way beyond what the county's going to ever be able to do. $150 million. You were complaining about the Justice Center costing $67 million. That makes that look cheap. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you, and noted, Mr. Jackson.
Rachel Christensen, Ruinsoft resident, as you guys all know. I'm here to ask you to pause the Fairgrounds Master Plan and focus on the problems already at hand. Douglas County has a lot of problems right now that need to be addressed. This isn't about opposing growth, it's about demanding responsible decisions. Right now, Douglas County is already struggling with the financial consequences of current and past projects. The Justice Center is over budget. The county committed funds to the Performing Arts Center and buying the movie theater. The Tahoe Blue Event Center cost $100 million to build. This is way more than that. It doesn't bring in the revenue to even cover. It's in the red. To go to a game there, to a minor league hockey game, costs way more than double than it is to go to a Sharks game, because you have to pay for that venue. any events at this is gonna, the cost for everything is gonna skyrocket for everybody. Even those that use it weekly to practice, for them to use that, it's gonna cost them a lot more, probably be cost prohibitive for them to do that. As I've heard that from the people in Fallon also, it's become cost prohibitive. Before approving another large project, where's the proof what we already built is working? From where we stand, it's not. Beyond the financial concerns, residents are dealing with real daily impacts, especially those of us in Ruinstrath. We're facing the drainage issues, as you all well know, where the water is being pushed onto the properties, and we're having to deal with that. Now you're proposing even more disruption. We have events that have run until 1:30 in the morning that we get to listen to over the loudspeaker. Who's going to control the noise, the dust, the traffic, and the after-hours activity? It doesn't just disappear when the events end. And the idea of camping near homes is deeply concerning. I know Scott Morgan proposed having a campground between us and the fairgrounds. Our homes are right there. It is a high fire risk. Are you willing to put all those homes in that high fire, even more fire danger for camping? This is a real concern. Pine Nut Road is a 2-lane road. The traffic for these events, what you're saying is how much it's gonna pull, the line is gonna be so long, people will be cutting through Ruinstrath to get there. They will be using that as a main thoroughfare. We will have to deal with that. And of course, as you guys know, they're also gonna have to go through Smelter Creek to get there. One thing that you guys have said is that in previous meetings that you've said that you're dealing with the messes previous commissioners have given you. Are you going to make this a mess for future county commissioners to deal with?
Mr. Christensen, I'm sorry, but your time has exceeded. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Sandy Howard. I'm a resident of Ruinstrath and Farrier Court to be exact. And I hadn't planned on speaking at all. I came to get some information to relay to 2 of my neighbors that specifically asked that I come and get information for them. And then there is one additional neighbor that she is not here. She was supposed to be here. I don't know what happened to her. But anyway, a comment was made in the very beginning that you reached out to the residents in the area. That's news to all of us. You know, I live right underneath the fairgrounds. I look at the front door to the blaring lights at 5 o'clock in the morning that have been going all night long. At 1 a.m., I still hear events going on. So you say that you reached out to the people that are impacted. You didn't reach out to us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Ellie Waller. I too was not going to speak, but we do have a Tahoe Blue Event Center that did cost in excess of $120 million for construction at an $80 million price tag. We've yet to get information back how that operation is actually working. So we have a framework and a baseline to look at an event center and some of that information, although it's very different. This is a larger scoped project for equestrians and everything else. I think we need to look at how that operations and maintenance is working. It's not just the construction costs we're looking at here. Plans are only as good as they can be implemented, and how long will phase 1 or is phase 1 anticipated to take to build out, and what does that do to the existing residential community? You've heard from a few people. All these things come to mind. A plan is a plan, but we need to have more input, I think, from the people that are most affected. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners,
Though I am Maureen Casey for the record, though I am Vice Chair of the Planning Commission, I am speaking as a resident of Douglas County. Good projects start with a great plan. This is a wonderful plan. And as a supporter of our agricultural community, I have seen many wonderful fairgrounds and agricultural communities fall into decay because priorities change in the communities. And their fairgrounds have gone by the wayside. Their horse programs went away. Their horse racing went away. Their 4-H programs died because the priorities of the community went towards homeless programs, towards other community services. And I think that having Denise Baronio working with us, and she can think of grants right off the top of her head, I think we have a strong support from the community to do donations. I think if we can get our quarter-cent sales tax going and set up a 501c3 through community development like we have in the Parks Department, that we will get our wealthier residents to make donations to community development and to community services that will support enhancing our fairgrounds and rebuilding it to have a jewel in our community. I think that having this plan in phases that work will work for Douglas County as a whole. And I thank you in advance for supporting this plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Justin Schlag. I'm one of the owners of the Douglas County Rodeo. I do support this plan. I mean, when we started the rodeo 6 years ago, we maybe had 500 people come out to that event. Currently for the weekend, we probably have about 8,000 now. We're maxed. I mean, we can't grow anymore, and the community, we don't have enough tickets to sell to the whole community. We're selling out. We either have to expand the fairgrounds or we have to add more days. And adding days to a Thursday or a Sunday, that's hard for the community. I do think that we can look at this plan and change a lot of things. I mean, I don't know if we need to spend all that money on every single thing, but there has to be growth. We have a problem in Douglas County with young people moving here and having a young population. Well, we don't have anything for them to do. We really need to look at this and think long term. But I mean, I do hear the residents of Runestroth. I just think it's a planning thing. We need to really look at this and figure out how we can benefit everybody in the community, but also, you know, they do live over there, and that's important. But it's not going to get better if we just leave it the way it is either. The traffic already, just with my event and the way my event is growing, it's a problem all the way around. I mean, we have to address it if we build this or not. So thank you guys for listening to this, and I really hope this goes through. Thank you much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brooke Sullivan, one of the owners of Douglas County Rodeo. I just wanted to come up here, obviously support the growth and expansion of the fairgrounds. Ma'am, I really do respect Runestroth. We try very hard every year to respect the noise curfew, the traffic. We do everything in our power to do that. The only thing that I was sitting here thinking of was there are so many younger families that are moving into this community. We strive every year to make our 2-day event a family affair. Now, we have the tractor pulls, and we have a couple of other events at the fairgrounds that make their events family friendly. Yeah, we have concerts in the park. We have a lot of great things, but we have an opportunity to grow family friendly, events in our community. And expanding the fairgrounds provides a year-round opportunity for that. Because right now, families, little kids, you're probably going to Reno or at least Carson to entertain your little ones or even teenagers. The bounce houses, the bounce trampoline park in Reno. Like, people are going to Reno in the winter. Let's have them stay here. And I'm just one person that has an opinion, but we strive very hard to make sure that we're able to entertain everywhere from little kids, teenagers, adults to grandparents. And I'd love to see that opportunity grow year round. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Zach Asty. I support this 100%. Growing up in this valley for 36 years, I rode my first sheep at that fairgrounds. I've been to junior rodeos, high school rodeos, and can't tell you how many's been canceled because of the weather. The indoor arena would help the kids be able to get inside, get out of the weather, and keep those events going. When it's outdoor and how it is, how small it is, they're constantly canceled, and just full support of it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Was there any, oh, okay.
I'll start by saying, oh, sorry, Joe Ortiz. I'll start by saying, with all due respect, typically whenever you start a sentence or some comments that way, what's coming isn't good. It was a nice presentation, great plan, a lot of great ideas, a lot of good intentions probably, but as we all know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So to not elaborate on that part too much, $154 million roughly is the projected cost on this, but that only covered phase 1 and phase 2. On that map, it showed that there were additional phases to come with no figures whatsoever as to what that might look like. So again, $154 million is what's being presented to us right now, but it could easily go 200, 250, 300 million. Where does it stop? Where does it stop?
Jim Slade. The fairgrounds is a great asset to Douglas County, and I'm happy that it's been holding a number of successful events. My wife is a lifelong equestrian, and I've been to many horse shows with her, principally in Nevada and California, including Murrieta and Desert Horse Park. I support the concept of this plan, but I'm concerned about the scope, the details, and especially the potential cost. The master plan all sounds good, but I worry that it might be overly optimistic, as these studies tend to be. This seems more like a visioning document than a master plan that is realistic at this time. Creating a master plan seems to imply that the county is determined to follow this path in its proposed scope and scale. The major concern, of course, is cost. I know that no expenditures are on the agenda today, and that the county plans to pursue grant funding, which will hopefully be successful, though it is always problematic. I think the county, however, should do some serious cost-benefit analysis, as any grant issuer would likely do as well. I just think it's fiscally responsible to make sure that any county funds spent on this project would have a reasonable return on investment. I honestly hope that whatever is built here will be successful, but when I see that the first phase cost is $87.4 million, it gives me pause, as it should for you. I'd also like to see an evaluation of the water resources that will be used for this project, given that some of the wells nearby, Ruinstrath, are having challenges. And I'm concerned about the heating costs in the winter and the cooling costs in the summer. The HITS event at Bentley Ranch and Minden for 4 years earlier this century, as has been mentioned. There are any number of reasons, I'm sure, why that ended after 4 years. My wife participated in that. From what I have heard, one of the main reasons is the lack of lodging here in Douglas County, which cannot be solved easily, and that makes it that much more of a challenge, and makes people in California, where a large percentage of that population shown on the map is, reluctant to bring their horse trailers, first of all, over our passes, and second of all, to find places here nearby, in the valley preferably, that are we're staying in. I wish that there was a more incremental way to improve the fairgrounds, in the suggested direction to see how well it works without an initial expenditure for a phase of 87.4 million. I hope that a significantly improved fairground is in our future. I just believe that it needs to be done cautiously to make sure that the benefits are somewhat commensurate with the costs. I want to be supportive, but realistic at the same time.
Thank you. Do we have any additional public comment? I'm seeing no additional public comment. We'll bring it back to the board. I believe there's a number of people that want to speak. I'll let our county manager, Jennifer Davidson, go first, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, members of the public. I wish to respond to public comment because I do think there's some factual misinformation that's circulating in the form of a rumor that I would like to address that I saw in a letter to the editor and also a comment made during public comment today. The Justice Center project is ahead of schedule and under budget. I'd be happy to provide any public reporting documents on this, and we'll speak to my financial team about providing some regular financial project information on the county's Justice Center webpage. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Tarkanian.
So I see three options here, but really only one possible solution. And the first option is we approve the master plan, and then it's going to sit there and nothing's going to happen because we don't have the money to do it. The second option is you deny the master plan, and then you have a fairgrounds that's deteriorating, that needs upgrades, and nothing's being done to help it. The third option is, the one I think is the only one that we have, is that we've already paid $100,000 for this master plan. I think it needs to be split up into many more phases, taking the highest priority first, which appears to be the restrooms and the other things, and maybe expanding the capability of the stadium, and then you split them up into what is more feasible that we might be able to afford over a period of years, and then maybe in 250 years you have enough money to finish phase 2 and start phase 3.
Commissioner
And you'll
Gardner.
be around to cut the ribbon.
Commissioner Gardner, do you mind if I say one thing that I don't think, Brooke 80 Community Services Director, I don't think was made clear enough throughout the discussion is that the one I did say, it is a very high level plan. If we were to move forward with any piece of this implementation, we would do the process that we did as we were developing the master plan. If we were to move forward with building the indoor event center, we would go through the same process where we're engaging with the public, we're getting feedback, we're coming before the board for approval. It is a multi-step process for each build out that is intended to happen with this entire facility. So by approving the master plan, you're not saying go forward with what we have. We are still going to go through every step of the way as as phases happen, as funding comes available, continued with feedback from the community and input.
Yeah, I understood that when I made my comment, but what I didn't hear in the presentation, what was the top priorities that had to be done immediately or had to be done within the next couple of years. And that's the point I'm getting. We don't have any money right now because of what's happening, and the way things are looking, it's going to be even more tougher in the next year or two. So, what is it that needs to be done? And then after that happens, what's the next one?
Commissioner Tolbert.
All right, so I think I'll go back to exactly what you said is correct, but I'll frame it in my words, is that if we don't have this document, it doesn't allow us to push forward. So yes, should we approve it? It's a living document, really, and so we're not going to be able to give you funds for it, but we also cut off our nose if we don't approve it, because now we don't allow you the ability to go out and chase grants or other types of funding. So if something came up that, which happens all the time, the One Nevada funding, I was working on the recreational trails program. The guy that runs that was on the board with me, said, hey, by the way, we still have X amount of dollars. If you have anything else, share that information. It comes back, and because we have a plan in place, it puts us in a better position to get such funds. So It's not necessarily something that's saying that, look, we're going to do this, you guys drew it on the plan, there it is. There's a reason that there's multiple styles of building being presented, that none of them are all matching each other, because those are just examples. There's a reason that they're boxes, not exact specific shapes of the buildings, because that's the idea, is to keep this as at the 30,000 foot level. So I think some of those things are important to recognize exactly what this master plan is. It's a tool in our toolbox to enhance the fairgrounds. It's not a plan to build things. It is an overarching, and I like what you said about it being a visioning. That's probably a better name for master plans, because but you know, the name is what the name is. But I really appreciate that that was probably one of the more true statements out there. This is a vision for that could happen, and by putting it on paper and presenting it, it puts us in a position to go chase that dream. Otherwise, it's always pie in the sky.
Commissioner Hales.
I also picked up on the visioning term. I think it's a really good term, and you know, a leader without a vision isn't a good leader. And so I appreciate the leadership that you've taken to bring us a vision. And when you vision these things, if you, along the way, if you say all the reasons they won't work, your vision you will never realize any progress. So I have concerns, but I think it's a great vision. And I have been to the rodeo. I have seen this community come alive. I know there's interest and passion and need for this kind of community opportunity. And so I am in support. I do want to mention my concerns, just because I'm throwing my weight behind this with my vote. I feel it's okay to say my concerns, because as you go along, I think you're going to have to grapple with these things. The water resources is a concern. Operating and maintenance costs long-term, so you build it, but then those are costs that you have to have going forward. I wonder if this plan is more beautiful and more large than we can sustain. I don't know, but I guess I think that will sort itself out as this moves forward. And I'm also concerned about, we don't want to build something that's too big for our community to have among us, and we don't want to ruin our lifestyle because we have so many people coming here to use this world-class facility. And I don't know how you grapple with that, but nonetheless, I support this as a beautiful vision, and I would like to head in this direction. Whether or not we end up with this exact thing, all of those things I've mentioned and many, many others, including cost, have to be worked out. But I don't want the potential problems and challenges to get in the way of having a beautiful vision that we can work towards and figure out these things as we go. And so I appreciate the many hours of work that's gone into this visioning process, and I am supportive.
Thank you. Commissioner Rice.
Thank you. Denise, you did a marvelous job. And I once again, this is a 30,000 foot aerial view of what is possible. It's not, we're going to start it next week, where's the damn shovel? So I really believe that the concept is wonderful. I think that there's some things that are doable, some things not doable, but it's a road to success. And I am totally behind it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll weigh in just a little bit. And I agree with the concept of the vision. I think to take another look at another, we still get criticism on a daily basis about the Community Arts Center, okay? That is a vision, okay? Our arts community has a vision of what they would like to see in a performing arts center. We provided the venue. Now those people need to go out and drive the grants private donations and whatever else they can to create that arts center to what they want it to be for our community, to the benefit of our community. And we haven't, and we're not committing general funds to do that, okay? So I see this in the same manner. Our equestrian community, our ag community, has all weighed in on this. We do need to be sensitive to the general population in the area and how it might affect their lifestyles. We need to protect that as well. But once again, and as the commissioners have indicated, it is a vision. Now there are things that we possibly can do to enhance the center our fairgrounds as we have it now. We recognize that in the rodeo. We invested money to create portable bleachers, or buy those portable bleachers that added a capacity of 1,000 people, basically, out of the fairgrounds. Had a tremendous impact. Sold out. If we bought 3 more, they'd probably sell those out. Okay, and that's an opportunity that we can use. That's something that we actually can put behind a 1-ton truck and move anywhere in our community and use it elsewhere. So that was a huge enhancement to that event, and it can be used for other events. There are a number of things that need to be done almost immediately out of the fairgrounds. You understand that, and as you have the funds available, I'm sure you'll come forward with those and get our approval. This plan does not allow you to go out and spend a single dollar. Okay? It allows you to go out and seek dollars, okay, to find the dollars to enhance that, okay, outside of the general fund. And so without a plan or a vision, it's hard to go out and seek those funds. You have to have that, and I understand that. So, and as you go forward with your vision of what you want to do out there, that still has to go through the planning department, that still has to go through Parks and Rec, and that ultimately, when you want to spend $1, has to come to this board or future boards whenever that occurs. In this case with Commissioner Tarkanian, that might be 150 years, but as he indicated, but whatever, okay? We do have term limits, by the way. I just want to let you know we have term limits. So anyways, so I'm in support of accepting basically the master plan as prepared, and I appreciate that. And I'm sure that as you go out and seek additional funds or any funds to create that, the amount of funds will also dictate what you can do when you can do it, okay? And that's an important thing to remember. So your phasing may really get askew, right, based on the funds that you have available and the priorities of what you want to do. Expanded parking is absolutely critical in my mind. Expanded bathroom facilities is critical in my mind. But I also want to keep in mind that we need to keep the existing footprint that we have out there right now, because it is an important economic driver, okay, and an important facility now. So as we possibly go forward with this, we need to make sure that we keep that available to, the pavilion, the fair, the arena. Those are the things that are already, the amenities are already out there. The one thing that I've always been concerned with, and it happens at the rodeo, it happens at other events, is when we have events out there, we have no RV hookups, and people still bring their horses in, they still bring their RVs in, they use that facility in an RV, and they stay in that their RV when they're out there, and we have no way of controlling that. We have no revenue from that, so event-specific RV parking is very high on my priority list to accommodate those, so they're not doing it somewhat haphazardly. And it's not going to be an RV park that's going to be used by for a long-term RV. So I think that's we already recognize that it's already in existence. and we have no accommodations for that. So anyways, with that,
I
go
got
ahead.
one quick thing to say. You used up my whole lunch hour. Look, I agree with, I'm going to vote for it too, and I agree with most everything you guys are saying, but I think you're missing a couple points. You can have a vision, but it better be realistic vision. You can't have an imaginary vision and think we're going to go kumbaya and all of a sudden this is going to happen. You're not going to get grants with an unrealistic vision. You're going to have to put in some type of a matching amount in those grants. So I do believe we need to come up with something that's going to be reasonable that we can go after right away and see if we can get grants and if we have the money to fund those things. That's it.
Agreed. Okay.
I also agree with that, but I also, after the last 2 weeks, of the budget talks, I just want to reiterate that we are facing a dilemma that this community has to come and decide what direction they want to go, right? We are not sustainable as we are. So are we going to increase the cost on ourselves, or are we going to entice more visitation to offset those costs? And both of those things have consequences, good and bad. So I personally am going to vote for this because I'm not going to handcuff future boards. Like you said, 250 years from now, my vote on this master plan is going to have very little effect on what's actually built at the community center, or whether this community decides to push for tourism as a major source of revenue for the community. So for me, yes, I'm going to vote for this because I'm not going to handcuff anybody in the future, which I know I personally can't affect the change of. So for me, that's where I'm coming from. I'm trying to keep my eyes down the road. I'm also trying to get that message out there. We need to do something, and what is that going to be? And we as a community need to come together and figure out what it's going to be. We can't just say no growth, no people, because we know it's not sustainable. We've been doing that. It's not working. We have to move forward. And what direction are we going to choose?
Entertain a motion. Who wants to do it? You gonna do it?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I move that we approve the Douglas County Fairgrounds Master Plan as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Rice, seconded by Commissioner Tolbert to approve the Douglas County Fairgrounds Master Plan as presented. I think we beat it up enough. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, motion passes 5-0. We're going to take a 5-minute break and come back and finish this agenda. Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to get going again. It's 1:30. We have 2 more items, and then we'll have closing public comment. So item 14.1 for possible action, discussion to approve a memorandum of understanding to encourage and facilitate cooperation between the National Association of Counties, NACO, the Nevada Association of Counties, NACO, different thing, and the host of the Western Interstate Region WIR 2027 conference in Douglas County, Nevada. I'm presenting this item. I'm going to do it from here, but anyways, and I'm going to keep this fairly short. Each year, the 17 western counties of the United States who form the Western Interstate region of the National Association of Counties have an annual conference, usually in May of each year. Last year, it happened to be in Rapid City, South Dakota. I attended that. And then this year, it's going to be held in Maui, on the island of Maui in Hawaii. Huh?
Attend that one.
I'm not attending that one because my commitment to NACO is that board meetings of this commission who pay my salary have my full attention first. And so it conflicts with the Board of Commissioners meeting. I will be here, okay, the first week of May. And then next year, the National Association of Counties, Western Interstate Region, has asked us to host the meeting for next year, 2027, in May. The intention is to host it the last week of May 2027 at the Tahoe Blue Event Center. It will probably host around 400 commissioners and other elected officials from the 17 western counties, plus a trickle of individuals from the other states within the nation, giving us a great opportunity to showcase our county. We're expecting, I would expect around 100 room night for that at the hotels, with the Golden Knight selected, the Golden Nugget, not the Golden Knight, the Golden Nugget selected as the host hotel with overflow capacity at the Republic, the Caesars Republic or whatever it's called. Okay, so I have been in the agenda item in full transparency. The agenda says that our financial exposure could be up to $85,000. I think that's a real stretch. We are expected to be the host of the dinner for the board, two boards, the board of directors of the National Association of Counties and the board of directors. In a lot of cases, it comprises the same people for the Western Interstate region. And I've been in touch with a number of private companies, our state association, and others, visitors authorities, to finance that activity. So with that, I will entertain any questions. Oh, and this was also approved, this memorandum of understanding was approved by the Nevada Association of Counties Board of Directors last Friday. So, Commissioner Hales, did you have a question?
Could this come back to us after we have commitments such that we know our financial responsibility is zero?
I think my answer would probably be not. I think the national organization and the WIR need to move forward and are asking for a memorandum of understanding in a fairly rapid
Would
manner.
you be willing to pledge your next 2 years' salary then to cover any costs? So no, I was going to say, with respect to the dinners, if they're up at the lake, you would think one of the casinos or multiple casinos would handle both of those two events.
That's exactly where we're headed on this. Exactly. Yeah. We're looking at we're actually looking at perhaps taking them out on the Dixie Belle, and the Visitors Authority is going to work with us on a price of that, and then we'll have probably STAR and other organizations be able to finance that.
So do we have a more realistic, like, not to exceed number that we could put on the record, or?
I think somewhere between I think probably our maximum exposure is probably maybe 20 to 30,000. If you wanted to reduce the amount of that, I think we can do that. And
I'm not
and I don't mean
comfortable-
exposure. I mean the cost would be somewhere in that range, 20 to 30,000 for that dinner. Is all I'm saying.
I'm just not comfortable spending money on this and not knowing how much money we're committing to. That's why, but I see merit in it. I would like to support it. That's why I'm wondering if it could come back, say, in 2 weeks. Do we have a meeting in 2 weeks? Yes, we do. Where we have a little bit more detail on what we might be required to do, both in money and in staff time.
And my two thoughts are, this is going to bring in economic advantage to the county. And we spend a lot of money promoting tourism up there with different organizations, as you mentioned, the Chamber for one. Is it TDVA or LTDV? Both of them, we're giving all this money to. Maybe we could reach out to them and they can help promote this event. It seems like a great event to have in our county, and be hard to turn it down, but we are spending a lot of money to promote these type of things too.
I would agree with that if we can extend it to the next meeting and gives time to get that collected. I mean, it comes at the worst possible time, right? Right after budget.
No, and
Right after the
I
budget
understand that, and I tried to keep things short and quick on this, and I appreciate your concerns. When I saw the $85,000 number myself, I was, maybe that was the dollar number that Rapid City spent, but I remember that when you're moving 200, 300 people around in buses to visit the Badlands, Mount Rushmore, and all the other things. I mean, we were on a bus a long time, and those are expensive things. So I don't, you know, but but I agree with you that, and you talk about promotion. So the promotion will take. We have 2 representatives of the Western Interstate region that are assigned from the NACO board here, Nevada Associated Counties. They themselves are attending the meeting in Maui and are going to promote the event there. And then we have promotional requirements in New Orleans, and so and I'll be attending that, and we'll have NACO, the Nevada Association of County staff, there to promote it. And then we have the legislative conference where we'll promote it as well. So those will be the 3 promotional opportunities we have. I know that the NACO, the WI board was very excited about the opportunity to come to Lake Tahoe and the event center. They've been out and inspected the site and feel that it's adequate. So, but if that's your concern, I want to listen to Commissioner Rice, but then we'll see where we want to go with this. Commissioner Rice, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I won't be here.
You what?
I won't be here. I will be basking in the sun somewhere. But actually, NACO is a very important organization. Our county has participated in it for a good number of years, and I think it's been a great training ground for all of our commissioners that have attended their meetings now that they've gotten away from DEI. But I'm hesitant to vote on this because I will no longer be on the commission, but I see the merit, and I am fairly certain, I'm fairly confident that the efforts taken by our current chair and the way that things function at the lake, that most of that cost will be offset by Star and the casinos and everybody that's associated with TDVA and LTVA. So I guess I will go ahead and vote for it. And I think that this is a starting point, and I think that our chairman will be able to bring in the costs well under the estimate, and probably at no cost to the county at all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And that's the goal, really, is to bring this in at 0 cost to our taxpayers in Douglas County.
I do know if anyone can make that happen, it's you.
Are you saying I'm a good arm twister? Okay. Okay. So what do we want to do with this? Do we want to table it for 2 weeks, or do we want to? Yes. No, I understand that. Yes, you're right. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. I appreciate you cautioning me on that. Okay, you're right. So at this time, then, is there any other comments? Then we'll go to public comment. Okay.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Ellie Waller. Maybe I'm reading the memorandum of understanding too literal. Host responsibilities are very diverse here. You may be able to have somebody cover the booths in Maui, Louisiana, Washington, D.C., maintain a welcome information desk by those same people, special events under host responsibilities, full financial support. I think we need to have MOUs with the casinos or Star, whoever else you think in line so the commitment is truly made. I don't know what dinners cost. It's fine. You're up at the lake. I think it's great. Servant, okay, we don't need that. Spouse guest activity tours. Work with the local visitors bureau. You need to get a commitment from them as well that they're going to help you with this. Personnel responsibilities. Provide volunteers and support staff during the conference. I don't know. You're going to start asking for volunteers now, get commitments a year in advance. Coordinator, designate a single person as liaison between Douglas County and this whole event. I'm not sure if that is you, Commissioner Gardner. Conference program content. All of this is about staff time for workshops and support meals and transportation. I don't know, I'm sure that's Economic Vitality Department. Time, the public information officer, promotion time. So I would like each of these items identified with a price tag and how it's getting covered and by whom, and do we need external MOUs to get the support? Thank you.
Thank you.
Your observation on, Jim Jackson, your observation on bad timing is very appropriate. Bad optics. $160 million for an equestrian center. A vision, but still there's a price tag on that vision. Now you've got this one, price tag $85,000. You may come in under that. And we're under budget or over budget by 1.2 million. You wonder why we get upset out here. That's exactly why. Optics are extremely important when you're making decisions. Now, granted, there's a handful of us here, same handful that's always here. I wish we could do more to spread the word more on what actually is going on. And that's difficult to do because every time I start talking to my neighbors about what happened at the meeting, the first question is, how much did they spend today that we don't have? That's almost universal. And I can explain it comes out of the room tax, it comes out of this, it comes out of grants. It's all still our money coming from taxes. And we're not getting anything for it. I think one of the things that you should do, not exactly on this subject, but you had a beautiful presentation for the Equestrian Center. You had a beautiful presentation for the, whatever the art center is going to be called. I've heard 5 names in the past 2 days. Put something together like that that's going to really benefit us on how we're going to build the roads. Where are you going to get the money? Are you going to get grants to do it? Make this kind of presentation for that. That would go a long ways towards satisfying a lot of people to look at, yeah, they really are trying. Right now, we think, yeah, you say you're trying, but then you go and you plan 160 million on this and 85,000 on this and another 3 million on that. And I don't know, it drives us nuts sometimes. And I'm not criticizing any of you. You're doing your job the best you can, but I think you need to improve a little bit on the presentation and the optics of what you're doing. It would probably go a long ways. And as far as the Equestrian Center, when they outreach to the community, I never heard about it. I never heard about this master plan. I would have been there. You know me. I don't miss an opportunity to go complain about something and everything. So that kind of stuff needs to be improved on. But the optics of what's going on right now with the budget meetings, over budget, lots of money to be spent on something that, do we really need that right now? No. Is it going to be spent right now? No. But people don't look at that way. They said, what did they commit to, 160 million for something? So anyway.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Is there any additional public comment? Okay, then we'll bring it back to the board. I think it's appropriate to, I also think it's appropriate maybe to delay this 2 weeks and be in touch with the National Association of Counties and see where we are on it. So anyways, So I'm going to entertain a motion to table this for 2 weeks.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of tabling this item for 2 weeks?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. Thank you. And we'll try to answer all those questions. Item 14.2, for presentation only, announcements, reports, updates from county commissioner members, including updates on the various boards and or commissions that they may be a member of or a liaison to, or any other meetings, functions they have attended, and any requests by a commissioner for discussion of a future agenda item. We'll start with Commissioner Rice up there. Commissioner Rice, you still with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes. No, we couldn't hear you. You were muted, so.
Oh, okay. Since the last meeting, I have attended a TRPA meeting, too many budget meetings, a LTVA meeting, and I'm going on vacation, so I'm not going to give you a report. So y'all have a good time, and bon voyage to me.
Thank you, and enjoy your vacation, and happy birthday to your wife next week, I believe it is. Thank you. We'll go to Commissioner Hale.
Thank you.
I'll pass. It's too long past lunchtime, but I'll add my things to the next.
Okay.
Next
Commissioner Tarkanian.
Just real quickly, we went through the budget meetings, and without having to get along too much with Mr. Jackson, he hit on a point that I've been talking about for a while, and that's the road maintenance. I am really looking forward to our county manager's vision of her master plan of how we are going to fix these roads. That should be one of the top priorities of any county, and it's not coincidental, but it's just this morning, all of us commissioners received an email from an older lady that's fallen twice on a road that hasn't been maintained adequately. And then when you look at it and you see the problems, the road was built in 1962 as a dirt road. That's all the developer was required to do at the time. Well, now it's not. What do we do as a county commission? We just say we don't have the money, we find the money, or make some tough decisions. So I'm so looking forward to. That's why you get paid the big bucks, Jennifer. I'm just trying to be tongue-in-cheek with you. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. We need to find a solution to that.
Amen. Commissioner Tolbert.
Yeah, I just reviewed my list, and it appears I've been here, so I haven't been at the other boards the last 2 weeks. I was looking through my list, and I was like, nope, I missed that one because we were here, and I missed that one because we were here. So I don't have much to report other than that. So next meeting, hopefully I'll have more.
Thank you. And I also have been extremely well. I did attend a Chamber of Commerce board meeting yesterday morning. So, but that was actually a rather short meeting. So anyways, with that, I don't have anything else to share. So at this time, then we'll go to closing public comment. Is there any additional closing public comment or any closing comment?
Jim Jackson, we're drawing straws to see who gets to do this first. I know you would rather sometimes I not get up here and make my comments and all that. I don't care. I'm going to. It is a serious subject, though. Like your comment that somebody fell on a road because they were walking and it wasn't maintained. There's a lot of those around. And I'm afraid that the one that I keep harping about the most, East Valley, is getting that way. This morning, or last night when I was heading home, the stop sign and the street sign on the corner of Orchard and Buckeye was down. Somebody had run over it. This morning, as I'm coming down here, here comes one of the big gravel trucks with the trailer, makes the turn going to the right on Orchard. He hit the sign on the other side of the street. Now, he didn't knock it down, but the sign was shaking back and forth. So I let Jennifer know because that's laying up there. with the continued addition of all these trucks, these kinds of things are going to happen more often. Somebody could have been standing on that corner, just as easy as a signpost. Something needs to be done about all this. People are really getting anxious about what's happening. You know, I hesitate going across East Valley sometimes in my Jeep because there's one curve. When I hit that curve at speed, it'll bounce me off the side of the road. It's so rough. You know, so and I don't know. It's frustrating from our point. I know it's frustrating from your point of view, but it's extremely frustrating from our point of view. We look at these big, beautiful projects that are planned to go in. Yeah, they'd be nice to do, but way overdone for what we've got here in Carson Valley. We don't need an equestrian center of that size or an event center of that size. It'll never be used to capacity, at least not in our lifetimes. And you know, I was talking earlier about horse events. Horses are getting extremely expensive. I just spent $700 on a vet fee for a horse that wasn't sick. Just check up, look at him, give him a couple shots. Feed. We spend probably $3,000 to $4,000 a year on feed for one horse. You talk about young families coming in. They're not coming in with horses. They can't afford them. Kids don't care about the horses anymore. You know, so that whole local environment, we'll go see events. So, but if they're coming from out of state or out of area to bring their horses in to do it, that's one thing. But if you're looking at the local people to go to those events and have their horses there, it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. We saw this down in Southern California. Big equestrian centers, very little use. I mean, they couldn't be maintained because they built them beautifully, and for a while they were used, but then they went away. So anyway, thank you for your time.
Mr. Jackson, we welcome your public comments, but we are calling you Mr. Gibson from now on.
Good afternoon. I'm glad it's not good evening. This was a shorter meeting. I want to thank each and every one of you commissioners, the staff that supports you, that's not here, but some are visible, our county manager's office, the DA's office. You are appreciated for your volunteer time, as well as everything you do to try to keep us informed. And I appreciate that there's a few of us that try to keep up with all the things you folks have to cover. And that needs to be said. Sometimes I'm a little more passionate on things when I'm frustrated, and I'm not up here to apologize how I present. Sometimes I just even find myself saying, is that you? And in the future, when we are looking at budget issues, $85,000 is just as important as millions of dollars in projects. And again, I think the timeliness of what went on today did create additional layers of people being uncomfortable about plannings. And I just wanted to get up and thank you folks for having the best public comment availability in all the different meetings I go to. And lastly, there's an oversight committee for the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency on April 10th up at 128 Market Street. They're going to be discussing recreation. Denise is going to be there to give a similar higher level Nevada State presentation. There's going to be transportation on that agenda, as well as the tribe is coming out. So lots of things that are of interest to this county, and I'll be there to comment. There'll be other people there. It would be good if you could make one of those meetings. The July 10th meeting has been canceled and moved to July 17th, and then they'll have a closing session in August at the state cap or at the legislative building. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim Slade. When I commented briefly on item 13.1, the Dust and Wonder Spike, I forgot to thank Commissioner Hales for asking one of the presenters to explain an acronym that he used. Acronyms are used too often by presenters and staff, both in written and oral form, and they should always be called out and explained to the public and the board. On item 13.2, the Fairgrounds Master Plan, I agree that approving the master plan was the best route to go at this point. I understand that it's the view from 30,000 feet, which it should be, and likely that it will be significantly changed in design, scale, and scope before anything like that is built. Which begs the question, why did the study cost $100,000 when it probably could have been done for half that much? When I see on page 740 and 744 that the estimated construction cost for phase 2 is $66,998,475, it is clear evidence that the consultant did far too deep a dive on this issue. I think that in the end, if this plan is ever constructed in any form, that it will be scaled down to make it a more realistic size, which seems to should have been taken into account to begin with. Some of you likely understand this, but overall there's a considerable difference between Western horse people, which is quite popular in our area, and English horse people, like those who goes to HITS, Murrieta, and the Desert Horse Park, mostly of whom would come from California and are more well-heeled and expect higher levels of service. I hate to generalize like that, and I probably shouldn't, but it's the reality. Hunter jumper and dressage owners tend to be much more demanding, for better or worse, about accommodations and restaurants than people that come to rodeos with their trailers, in general. Which is why the hit show at Bentley Ranch in Minden only lasted 4 years. There's just not enough accommodations here. They resented having to travel up to the lake every day. They didn't like driving over the pass. And to suggest that those type of hunter jumper shows will be popular and well attended here, I think is unrealistic, which makes the overall plan too grandiose. The solution is not to build more hotels, but to scale back the overly optimistic, overly expensive, grandiose plan, which just seems too much for Douglas County.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment? So I wanted to address a couple of things. Number one, Mr. Jackson, I have found your public comments to always be respectful of this board, and a lot of forethought going into those. So I don't think this board has any difficulty in listening to your public comment, whether you agree or don't agree with decisions. It's always been in a respectful manner, okay? And so, no, I won't call you by any other moniker than Mr. Jackson, okay? Secondly, I do want to take a moment to address something with the board. Item 14.1 in regards to the memorandum of understanding. I hope I can go back to that for just a minute, just to say that I am very, very mindful of the budget constraints that exist within our county and the budget discussions that we went forward with the last week and this week, earlier this week. I am very mindful of that, and I too was when that number was thrown out at me, I was very concerned about it, and I don't agree with that number, but you know that's what they're saying, and so whatever costs involved in our performance as a host county before we approve this, I want to make sure that those costs are privately financed and not a burden to the taxpayers of Douglas County, okay? So I will work extremely hard over the next several weeks to get that done. I don't know that I'm going to achieve that April 16th deadline, and I know that we also already have probably a lot coming on the April 16th deadline on that meeting. So I'm not convinced that it would even be appropriate to try to address that issue at that meeting. And I hope that the board understands that it may take another 2 weeks or maybe even a month, okay, to formalize all of that and identify what exactly our costs are and where the financing is going to come from, okay? So I hope you'll indulge me with that, okay? And if it can't be done, guess what?
Even we'll indulge you with that.
They'll have to, it's not coming out of my salary, no, as much as, the pennies I make, yeah. So anyways, I just want to let the board know that I'm very mindful of that. And I want the public to know that too, okay? So with that, the meeting is hereby adjourned.
Good day all.